Yes, everybody, and welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from Percy'sGrowroom.com. I am Mackie from the UK, and joining us this week, we have the return of Margaret.
Yay! Back to
Yay!
No.
Woo!
But I'm happy to be back. And yeah, even though it's minus 10 to 15 here pretty consistently.
Oh, no, that's a big difference from where you've been, I suppose.
Yeah, it was very hot and sunny. It was delightful.
Oh, yeah, so lovely. I love that warm weather.
I know.
Beautiful. Yes, everybody's like, well, Phil is, but I'm sure everybody out there listening is like, yay, Margaret's back. We get some kind of professionalism return, you know?
That's right.
Somebody's got to pull it together,
didn't
right?
fall apart while I was gone.
That's right. Well, they did. We just, we just stuck it all back together when you return. That's all.
Right.
But we also have Billy. What you say, Billy?
Yo, man. Hello from a cold Cornwall this week. So it's a bit cold and chilly out there. Not so stormy, but cold and chilly. So doing well again, obviously, because not been arrested again for another week by this draconian government we live under. So
getting by the skin of your teeth, as they say.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
And we also have John Colson. What's up, John?
How's it going, everybody? John from Minnesota. It's not too bad here today. 18 degrees freedom units.
God
so,
damn.
Not that 30 we were having, but still not too terrible.
Yeah, so what's that in normal units? For the rest of the world, what kind of temperature is that? Like -5?
-5, maybe, yeah. Oof. Something like that, I suppose.
God
and it's Groundhog's Day today.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
I heard the bad news.
Yeah, 6 more weeks. That little bastard seen his shadow.
Longer winter.
As if that shit's real. Great movie. Great movie. I seen a trailer out there on YouTube this week. It was where there was like, oh, it's gonna be Groundhog 2 being released, but it was just a fake trailer in the end. But it was convincing, and it would be epic if they just released Groundhog Day 2 and just started playing the original again
and done the original movie. Yeah,
just played it again. Yeah,
that's a good one.
I'd go watch it. I think that's an awesome movie. I love Groundhog Day. Yeah, and there's loads of fan theory in it as well. All this fan fiction shit where people try and figure out how many days did he actually do? How many times did he go round and round and round and round? Yeah, it's a good concept, man. Because he learned how to play piano real good, and that takes years. How many?
Ice sculptor,
so many things, man.
Paul Champion.
If you guys out there in chat have any idea, you want to take some guesses about how many days did Bill Murray do in Groundhog Day, let us know.
You'd have to see all the expert stuff he'd done and apply the 10,000 hour module to it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and say how many hours a day would he have spent on, let's say, only 8 hours a day for, and that's fucking, you think about 10,000 hours, that's a fucking long time, isn't it?
Yeah. Great movie, though.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah.
They don't make them like they used to.
No, they don't.
Great movie, man. And just legendary Bill Murray as well. But yes, so here we are for the cannabis news and events. This week, of course, we're covering the cannabis news and events, as we do. But for the grow guides this week, we're going to talk about soil and how to grow in soil and how to maintain different types of soil. Because growing in soil isn't as simple as just getting one medium. Oh, look, that's soil. There's lots of different types of soil, and all these different types need to be treated in different ways. So we just want to go into some detail to explain how to grow in these different types of soil, so you can choose which type of soil is going to work best for you. And then next week we're going to cover different types of hydroponics as well, so we can give, go into more detail into the mediums like we said we would do. We briefly discussed mediums already anyway, but we want to go into more detail about these different types of mediums as well, to give you the lowdown on that. So yeah, stay tuned for the grow guides a little bit later. For the news articles, we have 6 news articles. Not all good news, unfortunately. We have a legendary cannabis breeder, David Watson was his name, but we know him as Sam the Skunkman. And it's really hard to even put into terms about how important this guy was to cannabis itself. But he was the breeder of the original Skunk number 1. And Skunk number 1... It's pretty much in every strain. Cannabis wouldn't be what it is today without Sam the Skunk Man, and unfortunately he passed away this week. So we're going to be
Oh, let's see that.
taking a look at that story there. We have 55% of Brits support cannabis reform, latest YouGov poll shows. I think that's a little low. I think it's more than that. But, 55% is still the majority. And, polls don't really mean shit, do they? Heavy cannabis use may affect working memory, apparently.
No.
No. What?
I don't
Yeah.
remember.
No. So, heavy cannabis use may affect working memory. Yeah. Did we say that already? Farmers should grow grow cannabis to boost income, says a Tory MP, and Tory is like a conservative politician here in the UK. Proper crooked bastards they are. And yeah, so he must have some stakes in it, because that's the only reason why I think that a Tory would be saying something like that. We have hypocritical and disappointing. Labour's tired excuses on medical cannabis reform shows nothing has changed. Yes, so we're going to take a deep dive into the shit state of what's going on with cannabis and politics here in the UK this week. And we have from John, Kentucky governor personally awards states first medical marijuana cards and pushes Congress to end gun battle for patients. So yeah, that's something that we've covered a few times on the show as well. The fact that if people are using cannabis, they are not allowed to have guns too. So yeah, that's changing by the look of things, especially in Kentucky. So there's the news articles that we're covering. Lots of interesting stuff, man. It's going to be a good show. Yeah. So what are we smoking on this week? I ain't smoking on anything. I'm going to need to fire up this fucking mighty. Let's go. I didn't even think about it.
Turn on the old riser.
Yeah, what have you got this week, Margaret? Because you took a week off from smoking this week. What do you have when you got home?
Yeah, actually, I have a little bit of a balanced Jack Hair that I'm kind of excited to try.
Nice,
I
nice,
do
classic.
like the Jack.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
classic
It's
strain.
a 1-to-1 too, so I'm kind of
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
flash. That is. You got a nice one. I wish I was having some of that with you, Margaret. That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
right.
I need to get more of that 1-to-1 in my life, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
I need to grow some of that.
It's like cannabis has got so strong now that having a one-on-one can even be strong enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, it's
Yeah.
just nice fucking 10% of each. Beautiful, perfect.
Yeah.
I recommend everybody tries it at some point. One of my favorite strains is CBD cream and cheese, which is from Seedsman, and that it's like 8% of each. But that, man, delicious.
Nice and smooth.
It does the job lovely. It works well together. I think the THC and the CBD. But what are you saying, Billy? What you got this week?
I have some shishka berry with hash as well, but
Oh, hash. That's unlike you, Billy.
I know. It's strange, that, isn't it?
Yeah, man. Nice shishka berry.
Sounds
Yeah,
so nice
from-
too.
Yeah, Barney's Farm shishka berry.
Yeah, I think your
It's
mic
very,
is just a little bit loud, Billy. It seems to be
It's
It's
very
just-
shishka.
just a touch too loud, bro. I know it's going to be
Is that
clipping in the
better?
recording. Yeah, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah, that's better. There you go.
Sweet.
So yeah, that's quite nice. That one. It's very shishka rather than berry, but it is quite fruity.
Right. Whatever
Oh,
that
also-
means. Nice.
Also, do you know when you sort of like touch you grind it up with your fingers? Sometimes your weed.
Mhm.
Afterwards, you got all the trike stuck to you, and like you got like your bits of. You can see it's a very hashy type plant. If you know what I mean.
Nice.
So it'd be a nice one to hash. I think that I'm gonna grow another few to hash. for
Beautiful.
sure.
And what are you saying, John? What you got this week?
I'm still rocking that banana cake, man.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So nice.
Still got some in the grinder, so I figure I better use that up.
Banana
you-
bread
and
at
you
work,
reckon-
bro. Banana bread at work. You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
banana bread at work, man. Yeah.
I
Banana bread at
showed
work.
that to my girl yesterday, dude, and I could not stop laughing. Man, that kills me. I love that video so much.
Yeah, and you
Oh
can see
my
the video
God,
we're
dude.
talking about over on Discord. Everybody, go and check that out. Some random guy. But yeah,
Stop,
man.
Why'd you have to bring that up, man?
Yeah, but you said banana, so
I know.
it was applicable.
know.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So yes, thanks for joining us, everybody. Hit the like button and subscribe. But I think it is time to move on to this week's cannabis news and events. Are we all ready?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think so.
Let's do it.
Do it.
Okay, so we're going to move to the bad news at the start here and just get this out of the way. And as we said, the legendary cannabis breeder David Watson, aka Sam the Skunkman, dies. And as I said, this guy was an absolute legend, and cannabis wouldn't be what it is today without this gentleman here. So, a quick shout out to Sam the Skunkman, and thanks for all the incredible work that he did for cannabis over the last certain amount of decades. Anyway, it's been a long time. So I'll read some of this. The California breeder who moved to Amsterdam in the 1980s established one of the world's most extensive seed libraries, among other industry feats. David Paul Watson, known in the cannabis community as Sam the Skunkman for his breeding expertise, including developing world-renowned cultivar Skunk Number 1, died on January 27th. Watson and his wife of 54 years, Diana, were en route to spending a month with a friend, Todd McCormick, a long-time cannabis activist and fellow breeder who announced the death Tuesday morning on social media. His passion for cannabis and contributions to the cannabis community are legendary, McCormick wrote. He was my friend, my teacher, and one of the nicest people I ever met in my life. Please light one up and smoke one for Skunkman, because some of his work is most likely in the cannabis you're burning today. So let's do that now, everybody.
Yeah,
grab your
let's
shit.
go.
Grab your shit. Let's smoke. And thank you to Sam the Skunkman for everything you have done for us all. Like really, the influence that he had on cannabis over the last fucking 50 years, it's just been, it's hard to put into words about how impactful he actually was. I mean, it's sad to see him go, but we can appreciate him for what he's done.
He
It's
left
left a
so
big
much
impact.
behind for everybody, man.
His legacy is going to live on forever.
That's right.
For as long as there's cannabis, there'll be Sam the Skunkman.
So yeah, hit that shit extra hard there for Sam the Skunkman.
Yeah, man. Everyone should be coughing right about now.
No.
Yes. Damn.
Yeah, see?
That's right, everybody. If you ain't coughing, you ain't done it right. Keep going. Go
Exactly.
again. Go
Keep
again.
going.
Yes. All right, then we'll carry on with this. Watson departed this world as a husband, as a father of 2 daughters, and a grandfather. And here's a picture of him and his wife back in the day, back in the 60s. A good-looking fella, and good-looking wife, good-looking people. It looks like he's living the hippie dream there. It's got it looking a bit like Dave Gilmour from Pink Floyd.
He looks very Woodstock there.
Yeah.
60s vibe.
Yeah.
Like is it
that
bus?
was in
Are
the
they in a
60s.
bus? Camper or something?
Definitely
I
got
don't
the
know, but there's
carpenters playing in the background.
Legend. He was also the patriarch of the entire cannabis industry. Fellow breeder Ryan Lee of Chimera Genetics told Cannabis Business Times, Lee spent today with Diana helping to make family arrangements in the wake of Watson's death. I called David the cannabis silverback because he was kind of the big gorilla in the whole pack, and I don't think he meant it in an aggressive way, but he always liked to make it known that he had been there and done it first, Lee said. And in reality, he had always been there and done it first. People are still doing things and replicating work that he did 20 years ago. Triploids and polyploid cannabis and all this kind of stuff. So he really was the founding father of the industry, of the entire industry, both in the seed industry and the medical industry. Watson's knowledge and passion for the cannabis plant, wanting to know everything and everyone associated with its advancements, placed him as the central atom of the present-day cannabis story, Lee said. Through this unmatched thirst, Watson became a mentor to many and a friend to even more. The news of his death has been met with condolences from throughout the industry. He was larger than life. Marcus Bubbleman Richardson, who's known Watson for more than 25 years, said on Tuesday on social media. I will never forget the email he sent to me to introduce himself to me, Richardson wrote. I knew immediately who it was, and I was blown away. He was contacting me, like a celebrity getting in touch and shit. Like, oh my God, that's Sam the Skunkman? God. Little did I know that he would develop a friendship and mutual respect for one another. He was truly a father figure to me, and I will never forget him. Now my thoughts are with Dana, his wife, and his best friend for over 50 years. I loved you, brother, and I will never forget you ever. So, very sad, you know. It's very sad. Richardson added, you made me a better hash maker. For that, there is no doubt. I will carry the lessons and learnings you shared with me for the rest of my life, and I will look forward to the day where I see you again to smash endless dabs out of a fat, raw bong. Bless up, Sam. We love you. An American cannabis breeder, Watson is also credited for developing haze among a popular cultivar. And when they say haze, you don't just mean one strain of haze. I mean a haze, bro. You know, like all of them. You know, this is the granddaddy of all of them. In addition, Watson is known for contributing to horticultural research on pests and plant diseases, along with Robert C. Clark, a writer, photographer, ethnobotanist, plant breeder, and textile collector. Watson co-wrote, along with Clark and John McPartland, the book Hemp, Disease and Pests. Good book. You know, check it out. We've got that list on top 10 books that we got that book on the list of top 10 books you should own as a cannabis grower over on percysgrowroom.com. So check that out if you haven't checked that book out yet. Watson and Clark began working together in the 1970s and each contributed published work on cannabis cultivation and breeding that helped lay a foundation of expertise for the cannabis community. In 1979, Blotter magazine published an article Watson wrote under the pen name well, I don't know how to say that. It's Selgnij. So Jingles spelled backwards is what it is. That was titled Sun, Soil, Seeds, and Soul. Just part of what it takes to grow righteous, potent, sticky California cannabis. Jingles was another alias for Watson, with the genius for that nickname going back to the 1960s. The genesis, of that nickname going back to the 1960s, Lee said. David was quite a hippied out dude in the late 60s and 70s, and he had those little bells on his shoes or pants, so everywhere he walked he jingled. Okay, maybe that's why he called himself Jingles.
It's all coming together now.
Yeah, it all makes sense all of a sudden. And that he actually became his hippie name. His hippie name was Jingles. In the article from 1979, Watson discussed growing cultivars adaptive to California's climate, as well as those with traits associated with geographical regions from around the world. Also, he provided a key knowledge of the best cultivation practices and detailed breeding techniques in the article. There is more pictures of him. That's Ethan Russo there as well in that picture, right? Bottom right. It's ready to Ethan Russo. Yeah. Roger Pertwee, there you go, not Ethan Russo, Roger Pertwee, that's right. And he was the guy who discovered THC, or at least labeled it, right? I think that was it. Right. He's been on the show back in the day. For 10,000 years and until fairly recently, most cannabis improvements has been done by selection and acclimatization. That is, by choosing the best of the plant or maybe a special new mutant or sport each year. He wrote in an article, at least this has been done by selection of the plant closest to the traits desired and a rejection of all the others. In the 1970s and early 80s, Watson and Clark ran breeding programs in the US, meeting with fellow horticultural authorities Mel Frank and Ed Rosenthal, while yielding seeds and breeding parents that were selected to make lines that are around the world today, according to Beard Bros Media. So yeah, this article goes on for a while. You know, go and check it out over on the cannabisbusinesstimes.com. But there's lots of articles out there about him. You know, and it's just, as I say, it's incredible for the impact this guy left on the cannabis community. The things would be very different today if he wasn't around to have done the work that he had done. So, you know, shout out to the legend, man. To the legend, Sam the Skunkman. Tragic. You know. But what can you do? Life goes on, man. Life is a bitch sometimes, you know what I mean? Sad. Because we lost Frenchie, you know, a couple of years ago. Now we've lost Sam the Skunkman. And it's not going to be the end. All these guys, there was him around in like the 60s and 70s, so they're getting on now. You know what I mean? It's sad, man. It's sad to think. But damn, what you all think about this? Anybody want to say anything? I don't know. Just sad, isn't it?
Sad as fuck, really, isn't it? That the the man that basically invented what we're all smoking today has gone. Most of us wouldn't be alive without him because of the modern day cannabis used in all our medicines. So yeah, it's a bit of a kicker, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
But it's also a reminder that we're all getting old, and this is now the theme for the rest of our lives. That all the OGs are now in that age of. That's how long we've been fighting for.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Fucking hell, yeah, that's a crazy thought.
That's what you got to remember now, kids, is that all these guys have been fighting nearly their whole lives now for this, and some of them have died before it's really been legalized properly around the world. That's how fucked it is.
Yeah.
But all that time, they've fought by producing what we got now, and that's what the cannabis is. What their pharmaceutical companies are using now. His legacy. So really, and in his honor, we should all fucking stand up to our governments and say, sort it the fuck out, really. Because the man who invented this shit is now dead. And if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So where's his the honor for him? Because that's where all the medical cannabis and all their billions is coming from. Is from some of the shit this guy started off illegally. So yeah, if you really want to raise a legacy, you want to start fighting harder.
Yeah. What are you saying, John? Anything to add here?
Man, he did so much good stuff, and the one thing is that I think is that he left so much around or behind and taught so many people so many things that it's always going to be carried forward. It's always going to be built on. So he's always going to be remembered, and everybody's going to be thankful for everything he's done.
Indeed. Yeah. What do you think, Margaret? Anything to add to this one?
Not really. I was echoing the sentiment that Billy was saying, actually, but I was on mute, so.
Oh, boo!
Dang
I was
it.
like, why isn't anybody responding? But it was user error.
We've all
But
been
yeah,
there.
Billy,
Are you tired or something? You've been traveling?
maybe a little bit, yeah. But I was just like, Billy well said that it's time. It's a reminder that we need to sometimes the people have to stand up and ask for what they want.
Yeah.
And tell the government, our employees, essentially, what we want. And make sure that it's fucking done.
Get up, stand up for your rights, as another
right.
great person once fucking said.
Who was that again? I can't know. I'm obviously being, I'm joking.
I was gonna
we
say,
all know who that was.
Yeah, I was about to reach
Like,
through
how
the
dare
microphone
you?
and give you a slap. Then, fucking hell.
Yeah, but just again, just condolences to his family, his wife, his friends, and the cannabis community as a whole, because we all lost a legend last week. It's a damn shame. Well, rest in peace, Sam the Skunkman, and thanks for everything.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next one. Well, you want to pick one of your news articles to do here, Margaret?
Yeah, sure. Which one should we do? Why don't we start with, can cannabis affect memory? Largest study yet to
allegedly so.
investigate.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. This is from Medical News Today. And let's see here. Recent research shows the use of cannabis has grown significantly around the world, from about 180.6 million people in 2011 to 219 in 2021.
Damn.
Now, I would add it's either grown or it's just more people are willing to talk about it out loud because it's
There's more people as well
Place-
in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, a lot of factors can affect that, but
Actually, yeah, in like the last 10 years, the population of the world has probably increased by 1 billion people. So from like 6 billion to 7 billion. So that's 1/7. How many is that as a percentage? About 15%. And then on top of that, 18. It's about right, man. It's about in adjustments to world population. But I don't want to go on too much about that. Sorry. Fucking hell.
right. So more people
Sorry,
are
Margaret.
at least openly admitting that they use cannabis, and much of this
Right. I think that's what changes
Yeah.
it too.
Yeah. Well, when you have whole places that have legalized, and it's easier to talk about it openly, but much of this growth has been spurred on by recent moves to legalize the use of cannabis in many countries, including the United States, Canada, Thailand, Spain, South Africa, the Netherlands, and Uruguay. Past studies show that regular cannabis use can increase the person's risk for certain health issues such as lung damage, mental health issues, stroke, and heart attack. Additionally, previous research shows a potential link between cannabis use and known risk for factors of dementia. New research from the University of Colorado and Schutz Medical Campus report that heavy cannabis use may negatively affect a person's working memory, which helps in completing cognitive tasks such as learning and understanding language. The study was recently published in the journal JAMA Network Open, which
Them guys again.
The JAMA is the Journal of the American Medical Association, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that. We've seen them in a few articles recently.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because, like, I don't know if anybody's super surprised by the fact that people are like, if you smoke a lot of weed, it affects your memory. Like, isn't that like a common cliche around?
Yeah,
It is a bit.
It was even in Half Baked.
Yeah.
Marijuana affects your memory.
How might cannabis impact cognitive functions? For this study, researchers analyzed data from more than 1,000 young adults aged 22 to 36 who are categorized as one of the following. Heavy cannabis users used more than 1,000 times over their lifetime.
Over the week.
Moderate users, yeah, over a week. That's
definitely a year, right? Over a year.
Study. Yeah.
You would have, if you're a heavy user and you use it numerous times a day, then you 1,000 times in a year. But anyway, sorry, I keep interrupting, Margaret.
Moderate users, which are 10 to 999 times used during their life, and non-users who used cannabis less than 10 times. Scientists analyzed the neural responses in the brains of participants captured through magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI, as they completed 7 different cognitive tasks, including task testing motor skills, emotion, reward, and working memory. I've had an interest in learning how substances such as cannabis affect brain function since I was a teenager. Joshua L. Gowen, PhD, assistant professor in the Department of Radiology at the university, and first author of this study, told Medical News Today. I was fortunate to have an opportunity to do some of that work with this study. I was not only interested in working memory, but wanted to see how cannabis affected a range of different brain functions. So we looked at 7 tasks. 63% of lifetime heavy cannabis users had working memory issues. Of the 7 cognitive tasks, Gowen said working memory was the only one that showed an effect of cannabis. Researchers found that 63% of lifetime heavy cannabis users participants and 68% of recent cannabis users showed reduced brain activity during their working memory task. We found that brain function related to working memory showed effects of cannabis, where heavy cannabis users had lower brain activation. While the adjustment for potential confounding factors indicated that the link between cannabis use and memory problems was not a strong one, the researchers maintain that the potential connection remains a significant one to take into account. The effects were small but reliable, so it won't turn Einstein into Fred Flintstone, but it could add a few clouds into an otherwise clear sky.
Can I just add here, how many times have people been out there and have had maybe just a little bit too much to drink? And you completely forget what happened the day before. That's never happened to me on cannabis. You know what I'm saying? Just saying.
Yeah. Heavy cannabis use may also impact attention, decision-making. Additionally, scientists discovered that participants who are heavy cannabis users also had reduced brain activity in certain areas of the brain, including the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, dorsal media prefrontal cortex, and the anterior insula, which are not only important for memory, but also other processes such as attention and decision-making. We are currently exploring whether controlled administration of THC reduces brain activation relative to a placebo, since the current studies do not control for when the participants used cannabis. Research results match clinical practice observations. MNT spoke with Clifford Siegel, a neurologist at Providence St. John's Health Center in Santa Monica, California. This study in young adults shows that what we see in clinical practice, that people who choose to use CBD or THC as either edible or smokable products have proven memory issues. And he was not involved in this study. This shows that people who were young adults that had heavy use and recent use had memory problems. So the expectation is choosing cannabis products is going to cause you to have memory problems, memory loss in the long term and short term. There's 2 things I'd like to see as next steps for this research. I'd like to see, 1, if they could reproduce this with driving tasks to see if both recent and chronic use decreases people's ability to drive. And 2, I would like to see them do this with a subset of patients that are using medical cannabis to see if that group of patients that are getting medical cannabis have the same kind of memory cognitive issues. So you can
Wow.
do a risk benefit analysis for people choosing to use cannabis for medical uses. Need for more caution, informed discussion between patients or doctors and patients. So they also spoke to Jasdeep S. Hundal, a board-certified clinical neuropsychologist. And he said, as a neuropsychologist who works with patients at risk for cognitive decline, my first reaction to this study was concern, but not surprise. He was also not involved in the study. Findings like these should prompt more cautious, informed discussions between doctors and patients, especially those at high risk for Alzheimer's and other memory-related conditions. While cannabis is often perceived as harmless or even beneficial for certain medical conditions, this study underscores the potential negative cognitive effects, particularly on working memory and executive function, both of which are crucial for maintaining independence and quality of life. So, thoughts?
I think full
Bullshit.
of shit. Yeah, I think Billy agrees. Yeah.
Yeah, bullshit. Well, I live with someone who's got a brain condition. He's had his brain cut in half, in fact, and been butchered by doctors. Since he's used cannabis, his vocabulary's gone from, like, say, 20 words to 1,000. He can structure whole sentences together now, as than before. So it's like, yeah, so they can just shut the fuck up. His
I
memory's
bet
better.
they
He
haven't
can
done
use-
studies on that, have they?
Right, no, he can
No.
use a fucking iPad, yeah, but like an expert, and no one showed him at all how to use it. But he's got the mentality of a 6-year-old, apparently,
Right.
because he plays with, like, children's toys. So yeah, that's bullshit, man. Plus, all the studies they have had with footballers and stuff with their brain impact studies
like
and
the
all of that.
CTE
Say,
stuff.
yeah, man. And there's been studies that cannabis is actually good for Alzheimer's and dementia. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But they
So
won't
it's
tell us
some-
about those studies. It's
No,
like, you see,
exactly.
they had a
No.
few people in this study be like, oh yeah, my memory's a little bit bad because I smoked some cannabis. And they're
Right.
like, oh look, everybody look.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I
exactly,
mean?
yeah,
And just try and fucking, like, all of a sudden this study matters. It's like, no, it's not properly done. You need to do much more research than what's been said here, I would think, anyway. And they just like to cling to any negative side effects that cannabis may have. Now, don't get me wrong. I do, if you're getting super stoned and shit, maybe you're gonna forget some minor things. But everybody does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a way of the memory of not of
Yeah.
wiping stuff that's not important. Otherwise, you'd have so much clogged in your mind that would then send you mental.
My
So
mother's
it's a
never
way- yeah.
smoked cannabis and shit, but she's forgetful all the time. She puts shit down all the time. She's always been that way. And you never
Yeah.
smoked cannabis. Is that taken into consideration? You know what I mean?
Well, and
course
some of that
not.
comes with age too, right? Like they limited this to
mhm.
36-year-olds in the study or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, like, when they say use more than 1,000 times over their lifetime, like, how do you actually figure out that number as well? Like, and they were applying it mostly to heavy cannabis users, but their definition, is that self-reported? Like, are you counting? Like, I guess you're just
Yeah.
taking an average maybe, but it didn't seem to apply to moderate or low users. They called them non-users, but
Right.
moderate users either. It was more to people who are using
You
heavily,
know,
but
these studies always look for something negative and then pinpoint that and then highlight that part of it. It's rather than study it with no sort of what is it, agenda. They're looking at it with an agenda. That's the issue.
And let's just say, for example, let's just use an example of Snoop Dogg, who we all know has been excessively consuming cannabis every single day for about 50 years. Now, ask yourself this question, right? If he used alcohol to the same extent that he used cannabis, this motherfucker wouldn't even be alive today.
No.
You know what I mean? So, get your fucking...
If
Get
it affects
your
your memory
foot off
so
cannabis's
much,
face. You know what I mean?
How
Stop
come
bullying it.
Snoop, how come Snoop Dogg can perform at half time at a Super Bowl and remember every lyric to old songs?
Because we all do, because they're legendary.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's like that's how bad it is. It's like someone who's a heavy user can how many songs has he written for other people as well? So how many songs does he have in his actual head? You know what I mean, which we can
so
just
many.
quote, yeah.
And he's been
So it's
stoned
like,
the whole time, bro.
exactly. So yeah, that's why
Yeah.
they can go shut the fuck up, innit?
But I was random tangent. I was listening to The Last Meal, one of Snoop Dogg's best albums, in my opinion, just the other day in the car, and I said to the wife, I'm like, this album's like 25 years old, man. She was like, oh yeah, that's crazy. I'm like, so that means when we were like teenagers in like late 90s, early 2000s, this would be the same for us back then as listening to a song from 1975. It's like, God damn. God damn. Wow. Oh, God damn. Legend.
Ouch.
Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean? Sorry, everybody. Trigger warning, everybody.
I feel like you should have titled this episode "We're Getting Old."
Fuck. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Hey, we might be able to recover yet. Don't I?
Brought it up in the last story. No, you're bringing it up in this story. Oh my God.
Oh gosh, what can we bring up next? You know what I'm saying? What you say? Yeah, let's go into the this one about the Labour government here, Billy. What you have here for us?
Oh, that's nice and jolly, isn't it? Hey,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
going to something really lovely. Nothing corruption here or shit, is there? Right. So here we go. Hypocritical and disappointing. That's says the Labour government all over, didn't it? So Labour's tired excuses on medical cannabis reform show nothing has changed. That's fucking normal. So this is from The Business of Cannabis by Ben Stevens. Of recent article as normal. So yesterday, the first parliamentary debate on medical cannabis in the UK under the new Labour administration shattered hopes of more progressive stance on reform.
Because I knew there was going to be a debate sometime this week. I didn't know when it was, and then it's already happened and gone forward, and it looks like people are not happy with the results.
On
That's
Thursday, I think Wednesday or Thursday it was done on last week. So yeah, basically, yeah, motherfuckers. So despite impassioned speeches from members of various parties unanimously calling for the UK's patchwork cannabis regulation to be revisited and reformed, the government responded with the same tide reasoning for the lack of progress as the previous administration. This is all more frustrating given that Labour's Minister of State of Health and Social Care, Karen Smith, has herself delivered heartfelt pleas for the government action on medical cannabis reform while in opposition. So as normal, shouting it for it in opposition, but Susan in government opposite.
Yeah, I didn't say that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you did, allegedly. However, now in power, it seems Smith has retreated in the same boilerplate response she had previously criticised, telling the room, before we see routine prescribing of these unlicensed medicines, the NHS must have greater assurance on the clinical and cost effectiveness of these medicines.
So do the fucking studies, man. Gosh. What has it been? 7 years now, right? We're looking at 6.5 years, essentially, since we had the legalization of cannabis for medical use in the UK. 6.5 years. And nothing. Still nothing. I'd say we was maybe even further back than we were 6 years ago. It's fucked, man. Absolutely ridiculous.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. So despite forthcoming support from organisations, campaigns, while in opposition, the party's position appears to have changed in recent months. That's surprising, isn't it, really? Yeah. A recent paper, Open Secrets, highlighted the desperate situation that hundreds of families in the UK currently find themselves in, forced to resort to illegal cannabis products due to the barriers of the NHS prescribing, he explained, adding that the government is fully aware of this, but they're choosing just not to act. Labour's support for our campaign while in opposition was commendable, making today's response all the more disappointing. Despite previous conversations with the DOH under the former government, the Labour has now made it clearly that they are unwilling to engage with Medcan or take proactive steps to protect vulnerable children, which is what it is. They're just fucking ignoring everyone again.
Yeah, I feel like going on a fucking mad rant, but goddamn, we could do without the flags.
So after the opening remarks from the DUP's Jim Shannon, a long-time proponent of freedom, laid out a comprehensive argument of why the current system needs changing. Other arguments from across the political spectrum added weight to each of those new, well-worn parties. So, however, it was the Conservatives' Dr. Luke Evans who presented the most damning case against the government's continued inaction. He highlighted a particularly strong contribution from the Shadow Health Ministry, Miss Smith, chairing a similar debate in the medical cannabis from 2021. So, given that she holds in power, Evans told the room, I feel that it's fair to ask her the same question she posed to the then minister, basically, quoting her contribution directly. He continues. So, he asked her the same question she asked of the minister when she was in, if you know what I mean.
Wow,
So, like,
yeah.
but and then she still gives the same response. It's like, it shows you how corrupt and fucked they are, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So
So,
he
as soon as you
quoted
swap
her
chairs,
directly. Yeah.
yeah. It would be helpful if the minister could set out what steps he is taking to empower and accelerate research in this space. I hope he will not dodge the question by saying that this issue is simply one for clinicians. The government has a responsibility. So there seems to be a lack of urgency on this issue, which is concerning. People are suffering right now. We have heard again and again about children suffering from seizures, sometimes 100 a day, assessing care, and in some cases, pushing families to the brink of destruction. We should do everything we can to support these people. If research is needed before clinicians feel comfortable prescribing, then it is incumbent on this government to support clinicians. We need more streamlined clinical trials and better engagements. Again, with clinicians, we need to do more. We do not want to go back to where we was in 2 years ago, basically. He concluded by asking her, as she did 4 years earlier, what steps she had taken to accelerate research, streamline clinical trials, empower clinicians, or more quickly support patients.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's just more bullshit. So for the patients and families, present at the debate, the response was just disappointing, obviously, and it just smacked of hypocrisy. Because, like, again, she was fighting for the legalization. As soon as she's in a position to do something, turns you
It's
back.
got to be shocking because I know loads of these ladies are out there. They're working hard to try and get these laws changed. And imagine after this amount of time, and you finally come to a point when Parliament might change the rules, and you're like, surely after this amount of time, surely now. You know, you're like, you always got to be a little bit pessimistic, but in situations like this, you got to be thinking like 70%, 75%. We're looking in favor of things being changed here. Come on, surely they see this shit we have to go through every day. Surely they can fucking help us now after this amount of time, surely. And then they'll be like, nah, sorry. Well, not even sorry, are they? They're not even fucking sorry. They don't give a shit.
No, they never are. They really don't give a shit.
No, literally, her response was like she dodged the question by saying the issue is simply one for clinicians, which is the same response they all give.
What
You know what I mean?
she means is, I'm in a position of power now, and I don't want to rock the boat too much and lose my nice cushy job, and having the ability to have all my shit paid for me, my expenses and all that covered. So I'm just going to try and stay quiet here. Please don't rock the boat. That's what I think. That's what she said. I might be misquoting her a little bit, but it was something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, aren't there clinicians that feel comfortable prescribing without more research? I mean, why not supporting? What about supporting those clinicians?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Billy, you know something about that. What's going on with the clinicians, like able to prescribe?
Nothing. There's no one. There's no one to come forward. So in Cornwall or the southwest, there's no doctors to prescribe. There's no one. There's no one to even to see for appointments. You have to go to Bristol now because they're retiring. There's going to be no replacements. It's fucking stupid. We can't even get the doctors to fill the place, let alone then prescribe afterwards. Our country's died. It's dead. We don't have NHS as such. Even privately, it's like no one wants to do it. It's our country.
So there's like no universities over there that want to take this research on and just knock it out. Like
there's some are, but it's only small. And with epilepsy, you can't do research because the kids then have to stop all drugs.
Right.
And you can't tell someone who's at risk of death to stop all their drugs, which are keeping. It's just fucking stupid. You have no drugs for 3-6 months and die, and you have drugs and risk death. Yeah, it's like
that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
one of the problems. Yeah,
it's one of the issues. Yeah, so it's totally fucked here. It's like I'm surprised no one's not going more mental than what they are. But then, you just get put in prison in this country. They don't listen to you. They just lock you up.
Desperation is the English way, as they say.
Yeah. And the
So
more
what
I read, the
happens-
more I'm just going to say cunts, 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 cunts.
All right,
So
flags, Billy. Come on, behave now. So, what are
Holy
you saying, John?
So, listen to this story, and obviously I don't get a lot of UK information or what have you, but I just question. Okay, so there's not a lot of people that prescribe. There's nobody that's really on this. So, you guys have businesses over there that are making this, correct? Or do you get it from some other European country?
No,
Like
there's,
somebody that can prescribe.
we have
There's-
GW Pharmaceuticals that makes it, right? They used to be.
yeah,
They used to make
have
sativa
a license, and most of them want to get stuff from Tilray. You can get it in this country if you wanted to. There are companies that could do it. Yes.
Right, but my question is okay, if nobody's on it, nobody can prescribe it, it's going nowhere. What are these companies doing with their stock? Like, what is it just sitting there getting then thrown out? Like, because it
That's
gets
all being made into
expired?
everything else. So the companies in the UK are mostly turning their weed into flour, and then GW is sending it, turning it into Epidolex and sending a lot of it abroad.
Mhm.
But it's not like it's not really licensed here, so that's the issue. And a lot of the
Madness.
stuff from Tilray is coming from Holland. If you know what I mean. So
Right.
there are companies in the UK which are growing cannabis and making oils and stuff, but they're selling it on the black market as such. Which
Madness.
Because
is,
it can't really be sold in country. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's, you know what I mean?
so it's
Yeah.
just all pharmaceutical
waste,
stuff. So
man, to
it's their
me.
legacy. It's their little market. It's like a lot of stuff from Canada. So it's just bullshit, man. It's like there's a company in Cornwall which are growing their own weed for research and stuff. So literally they could make the oil for all the kids in Cornwall, and then a doctor in the local hospital could prescribe it to them. Really simple. Could all be done locally, but because of licensing and doctors and bullshit, it's not
Madness,
done.
innit? And the government ain't doing anything to change that
Why
yet.
are they so
Yeah.
scared is my question, man.
They're
I
not
don't
scared, mate.
understand.
They're getting paid. That's the
They're
thing.
getting paid,
They're not
man.
The
scared.
doctors, I mean?
But
I'm
no,
talking about
the
the doctors.
politicians. The politicians
The
getting
doctors,
paid.
the doctors
Allegedly.
as well. Remember, the
Allegedly.
doctors are getting kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies. So we all know that.
Yeah, I guess.
That's how they
I mean,
survive. That's where their wages come from. So they're not
Allegedly.
going to go against.
Just going to throw that out there a
Against
few more
them.
times before we finish the story.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
That's
Yeah.
right. Just
But-
to make sure we got our asses covered,
yeah.
Safe and effective.
That-
just
yeah.
saying.
Again, so I'm probably the worst person to ask because I'm biased.
Right.
But it's just, it's shit, man, and it's horrible to think that us guys here in the UK still, from my perspective, from what I'm seeing, we're still looking 2028. Even then, when's the next?
Nah,
Yeah, it's we're
29,
looking.
30.
Just don't get your fucking hopes up. That's
Right.
the thing. It's not coming, man. It's not coming. You know, I thought when they legalized for medical use in 2018, we'd have a couple more years before we had recreational, and and everything was moving. And here we are in a worse position than it was in 2018. Maybe, it's ridiculous, man.
I think there's more chance of a revolution in the UK before they legalise medical any cannabis.
Yeah.
To be
So
honest.
crazy
Yeah.
to me.
That is true.
Damn.
Let's move on to the next.
Let's
story,
move on
eh?
to the next story because otherwise it's gonna freak out, man. Fuck.
We're just gonna get flags.
Sorry, Margaret. You was gonna add something there before we move on?
No, I was just like, let's move on to the next happy story.
Yeah, let's do it. We have actually got a happy story here. John,
We do?
Yeah, we do. John, what are you saying,
I
bro?
mean, for the US,
Brighten the mood
I
a
mean,
little, bro.
We need a
Yeah,
palate
yeah.
cleanser right now.
Yeah. So I seen the story because obviously I'm in the US, but it mentions guns. And if you live in the US, you know that if you smoke or use cannabis, it's a no-no. And it's on the federal side. But Kentucky governor personally awards state's first medical marijuana cards and pushes Congress to end gun ban for patients. Kentucky, I think they legalized on the 1st of this year, 1st of January.
Nice. Good for them.
So, and I didn't know that. I thought Kentucky was already medical, but I think it was 2003 they signed it in, but didn't go until the 1st of this year. So, the governor of Kentucky has personally awarded the state's first medical marijuana patients cards, and he's also calling on the Commonwealth's congressional delegation to advance legalization or legislation protecting their constitutional right to own firearms. During a briefing on Thursday, Governor Andy Beshear provided an update on the implementation of Kentucky's medical cannabis law, ceremonially inviting a doctor and former teacher to the podium to accept the state's first ever patient cards. There were 2 of 2,200 people to initially receive the registration. We've taken some incredible strides to make medical cannabis a reality in Kentucky, the governor said, noting the state's progress in licensing marijuana businesses and certifying hundreds of doctors to issue cannabis recommendations to qualifying patients. I'm pleased today to announce we've hit another major milestone for our program, he said. Today, we're going to issue the first 2 medical cannabis cards to Dr. Ryan Grell and Marissa Kumalo, I think. Bashir then said that as we enter this new era, I want to ensure that every Kentucky, I think it means Kentuckian, is treated fairly regardless of what lawful medication they choose for their condition. And that means pushing to have a federal rule change that ends the policy of denying Second Amendment rights to people operating in compliance with state marijuana laws. The governor said he sent a letter on Wednesday to Kentucky's congressional delegation urging them to take decisive action to protect the constitutional rights of law-abiding medical cannabis patients. Currently, law-abiding citizens who elect to participate in state legalized medical cannabis programs like Kentucky's have their Second Amendment rights to purchase or possess a firearm impacted, he said. No law-abiding Kentuckian or American, for that matter, should have to choose between a constitutional right like the Second Amendment and getting the medication that they need. Bashir specifically implored the congressional delegation to introduce legislation to address this issue and to protect the constitutional rights of Kentuckians and of all Americans. This comes after bipartisan Kentucky senators filed legislation that similarly calls on the state's federal representatives to take corrective actions, which Bashir said he supports, but would like to see an even more sweeping change on the federal level. The Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, also known as the ATF, warned Kentucky residents late last year that if they choose to participate in the state's medical marijuana program, they will be prohibited from buying or possessing firearms under federal law.
Boo.
There should not, terrible. There should not be a loss of a right within our Bill of Rights simply for choosing a legalized system of medication that is best for you. As this program grows, I'll continue to put our people first, the governor said. I hope you can see from this is not about moving left to right. It's about moving forward, making sure people get what they need, make sure they're treated fairly, and never penalized for taking part in a program like this that can help. When I ran for governor, it was my goal to provide health care access to Kentuckians, especially access that ensures the vulnerable the freedom to choose medical cannabis as an alternative to dangerous and addictive opioids, he said. Listen, I'm fist pumping for this guy right now.
Absolutely, yeah.
As far as the implementation of the state's medical cannabis law goes, Bashir said in his State of the Commonwealth address this month that patients will have access to cannabis sometime this year. The measure establishing Kentucky's medical cannabis program, SB 47, was signed into law in March 2023 and took effect at the beginning of this month. Hundreds of Kentuckians have so far applied for a medical card through an online portal that launched this month. The governor said in recent comments, he also shared tips for patients to find a doctor and get registered to participate in the cannabis program. Health practitioners have been able to start assessing patients for recommendations since the beginning of December, and thousands of Kentuckians have sought out such consultation or consultations in this week or the week since. While there currently aren't any up and running dispensaries available to patients, Bashir further affirmed that an executive order he signed in 2023 will stay in effect in the interim, protecting patients who possess medical cannabis purchased at out-of-state licensed retailers. During the November election, Kentucky also saw more than 100 cities and counties approve local ordinances to allow medical cannabis businesses in their jurisdiction. The governor said the election results demonstrate that the jury is no longer out on the issue that is clearly supported by voters across partisan and geographical lines. So,
very nice.
I mean, it is kind of a big thing in the U.S. because, you know, we do love our guns. And it's sad that somebody has to choose that. Like, I can go out and drink all day and still have guns sitting in my house.
Mm-hmm.
And if I choose to, you know,
it's crazy,
go out and use it. But and really, I don't know. You have to be doing something for them to check you and to actually get in trouble for this. I mean, you're not supposed to, but you know, I mean, if you're out waving your pistol on your deck, probably somebody's going to question it, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, what's that bong you got sitting, you know, on your table?"
You're one of them drug users.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, man.
So, good job on Kentucky getting their medical going. That's awesome.
Yeah,
and I hope he can push. I hope that they help push this a little further with the on the federal side for possession of guns.
It's just changing all the time, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
More than 50% of the US population has legal cannabis now, but is it coming to 50% of the states yet? It's really close, isn't it?
Not sure.
24, I think. Yeah. Well, for what? For medical or for recreational?
Just for medical. I think it's even more than half for medical, isn't it?
It's
most of them.
Let's see.
A little bit of dead air there while John goes and does a bit of research.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if I can pull it up. I don't know why and then it gives me.
And it changes so often.
Anyways.
It's like you find the article just from a few months ago, and it wouldn't be accurate because of the recent election. But surely we're looking at some federal legislation coming up soon.
39 states, it says.
Wow.
February 2020.
There's been no talk directly, and you know, politicians are full of shit. So even if they did talk about it, you can't believe them anyway.
Right.
You know, the last administration said they were going to do it. This administration said that they're going to do it, but nobody's going to fucking do it. I don't know. Maybe they will.
And even if it gets deregulated, right? Like they change the schedule of it, I don't think that would change this for the possession of the guns and stuff.
Yeah. At least change,
that's probably true.
You know, like which is crazy because, you know, again, I could go tomorrow and get prescribed oxys and it's not a problem at all.
Which is wild.
It's crazy.
That's crazy when you think about it.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there doesn't seem to be an issue with alcohol either, and firearms, which is also even crazier.
Yeah, no. I mean, I know it happens. Like, so I don't know. I was 19 or whatever. I went to jail for a minimal amount of cannabis, and immediately the judge said, "Look, you don't get to do nothing. Your hunting rights are gone. Your gun rights are gone for like a year and a half, man."
Wow. That's madness, isn't it? It's unconstitutional.
It is.
You know, fuck.
Yeah.
At least it's changing, right? You know.
Yeah.
This guy's ending the gun ban, so step in the right direction. So yes, a good news story that time round. But now let's go back to the dark shit, shall we?
But now.
The last time we got a pretty happy articles here. We'll quickly cover this one which I have here from Leafy. Let me get it up on the screen here for you all. So allegedly, 55% of Brits support cannabis reform, latest YouGov poll shows. And I think 50% is a reasonably small number from what I would expect. But, you know, I'm in kind of an echo chamber.
Even allegedly on there. I would have, I wouldn't have said that at all. That sounds pretty pretty straight
Well,
up to me.
allegedly only 50%, 55% of Brits, you know. Well, it's crazy. Most people would say, yeah, it should be legalized, you know, at least a proper medical system. I don't know. As I say, I'm probably in a bit of an echo chamber because I speak to a lot of cannabis consumers, you know, been in this community for a long time. So it can make you feel as if everybody loves cannabis when most likely people probably don't. A recent poll by YouGov have shown that 55% of people in Great Britain support for some form of cannabis reform compared to 53% of MPs. You need to send the envelope to the right people to get the MPs in. A recent YouGov poll asked the British public their views on cannabis reform compared to those held by politicians, has shown that a majority of both groups support some sort of cannabis reform. The survey, conducted between 8th and 9th of January 2025, asked members of the general public whether they supported or opposed cannabis legislation. It found that 45% supported legalization, while 42% opposed it. The remaining 13 answered that they do not know, which is always a fine thing to say. No, the same question was also put to 106 sitting members of Parliament. 50% of MPs said they are opposed to cannabis legalization, while 39% supported it. The question was then asked in a more nuanced format with more options. Respondents were asked to choose between legalization, decriminalization, or keeping the sale and possession of cannabis a criminal offense. 55% of the public said they supported either decriminalization, which was 24%, or full legalization, which was 31%. Only 33% still felt cannabis should remain illegal. And those people need to go give their heads a bit of a fucking shake and get a grip of themselves. 33%? That's crazy.
I don't know about that.
It depends where they've asked this question as well. It's like, did they go out and do a survey in a specific area? Because, you know, some areas are going to get a much higher percentage than others, you know. When the same question was put to MPs, a total of 53% supported some sort of reform, 28% supported decriminalisation, 25% supported full legalisation, and 30% of MPs still felt cannabis possession should remain illegal. How fucking crazy is that? So just how do you can see on the screen now there's some kind of chart here. How do MPs view on drugs policy compared to the general public? And this is from 106 MPs and a total of 2,533 Great British adults. So generally speaking, this was the question they asked. Generally speaking, to what extent would you support or oppose the legalisation of cannabis in the UK? And those who support for MPs was 39, and members of the public was 45. And oppose was the MPs are on 50% and the public is on 42%. So yeah, the MPs are out of touch. Who would have guessed it? And when put this way with regarding to cannabis, which of these statements comes closest to your own view? Yeah, it's all bullshit. They're all just chatting shit here. You get the gist of it. Strong support for medical cannabis in the UK. Allegedly, from the story we seen earlier, allegedly. The poll also revealed broad support for medical cannabis in the UK. 73% of the general public believe doctors should be able to prescribe cannabis. 83% of MPs also answered that doctors should be allowed to prescribe cannabis for medical use. Only 7% of MPs were against it. So what's the problem?
Yeah,
83%
get pushed through.
You know what I mean? So what are you doing? You know?
Yeah, for fuck.
Ridiculous, man. It's fucking farce. The survey is the first of its kind to ask MPs how they might vote in a debate on cannabis since the 2024 general election. Both the Liberal Democrats and the Green Party, who gained record numbers of seats, support some form of cannabis reform. Results reveal that cannabis reform is broadly supported by those under 50, adding weight to previous research from 2024 that showed that the UK, 80% of Gen Z and 67% of millennials support cannabis legislation. There's those old bastards. That's the problem.
Where the hell's Gen X in there, goddamn?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Why do they always skip me?
I'm Gen X too. It's bullshit.
Because you can take it. That's the thing.
Racist
You're
as
not
hell.
offended by it, you know?
Actually, it's because me and Margaret don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Whatever.
true.
That's exactly it. No. In the recent YouGov survey, 60% of 18 to 24-year-olds also expressed support for either legalization or decriminalization. Only 21% of people in this age bracket supported criminalization. Wow, imagine how much of a fucking bunch of cunts they are.
Yeah, they aren't going to the parties and having
You know what I
fun.
mean? That's
people.
it. You know what I mean? I don't like the smell of it. Ugh.
You have to
Only
remember though, they were the ones that got fed all the fucking propaganda.
true. It's not their fault. You can't blame them. You know, it's
Yeah.
just ignorance. Just young guys. They've got a lot to learn.
Mhm.
Only 21% of people in this age bracket supported criminalization. 61% of 25 to 49-year-olds supported some sort of cannabis reform versus 28 who expressed support for sticking with criminalization. In contrast, 38% of 50 to 64-year-olds believed cannabis should remain illegal, as did 44% of those aged over 65. Yeah, so blah, blah, blah. This article goes on. It's from Leafly, so do go over to Leafly and read some of their news articles because they're a good organization. They've been on the show before. Good guys. So, yeah, go and read some news articles from over there. But, you know, this is to be
I still
expected,
can't believe
man.
that.
You know? Why
I mean,
can't
how
you
do they
believe,
do a
John?
poll like this? How do they do a poll like this and everybody's for the whole doctor thing, but no shit can get done? I don't understand that.
I know
Well,
when you see the
Baffles
visual
me.
of that question too, like in that section earlier with the
Yeah.
sort of and like all these politicians think that doctors should be able to prescribe medically, like a huge number. Same
I
with the
know,
public.
right?
Yet,
Right. So
You see how quiet Billy's being? You see, he's fucking biting his tongue
Yeah.
so hard right now.
he's probably
You know?
yelling on
right
mute.
now. And then the should nots, that pretty much represents all the boomers, all the boomer politicians, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
What are you saying, Billy?
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep quiet before all the flags come
Yeah,
on.
that's right. That's right,
It's all
Billy.
bullshit, mate. It's all fucking bullshit.
It's ridiculous is that everybody sees that the right way to move forward is to properly legalize and regulate cannabis. Well, not everybody, you know, but just at least a large percentage of the population.
Yeah. For sure.
But still, no, you can't have it. Tough. You know why? Because we fucking said so. That's why.
Mhm.
And we're supposed to just listen. You're supposed to just do as we're told, like good little citizens. Do as you're told, proletarian. You can't have cannabis. It's not for you because we said so. No good reasons, you know. Just fuck you. We said so. Do as you're told. It's bullshit, man. God, drives you crazy. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting article to bring. But we have one more. We have one more from Margaret here. What are you saying about the farmers there, Margaret?
Oh, let me find the right one here. Also, anyway, I'll read it. We'll find out. Farmers should grow cannabis to boost income, Tory MP says. So I thought
Boo.
that was interesting. Boo. Farmers should grow cannabis to increase their income, an MP has said. A progressive approach to medical cannabis could increase British farmers' incomes, a Conservative former minister has urged. David Mundell, MP for Dumfriesshire, Clydesdale, and Tweedale, said, I'm sorry if I did not
Oh,
say
no.
those.
Don't worry.
Okay. Said that the medical cannabis sector could create tens of thousands of jobs in rural areas. This is an industry that is there and ready to grow, ready to create wealth and jobs, particularly in some of the most difficult rural environments in the UK, he told Parliament. Medicinal cannabis was legalized in 2018 by Sir Sajiv Javid, then Home Secretary, to allow it to be prescribed by specialist doctors for certain conditions. Mr. Mundell said that Hilltop Leaf, a private medicinal cannabis cultivation and extraction business in his constituency, stands in stark contrast to the damp, tinfoil wrapped rooms of illegal production. He claimed the sector could potentially bring more than £1 billion to the UK economy during a Westminster Hall debate on medical cannabis. Speaking on Thursday, Mr. Mundell put forward the economic case for medical cannabis, adding that a more progressive approach could make a difference to the economies of rural constituencies. He said the nascent cannabis sector at its core is horticultural in character and is situated in rural and agricultural communities like the one I represent. In my own constituency, I see Hilltop Leaf develop growing and processing facilities pristine and equipped with high-tech quantum sensors, microscopes, or leaf barometers. It's a stark contrast to the damp tinfoil wrapped rooms of illegal production. Mr. Mundell added, what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean,
It's because people
It's a
put
good
in
question.
tin foil on the walls to make it more reflective.
oh, that's cool.
You know,
Oh, is that what
yeah,
you're talking
like
about?
absolutely ridiculous. The guy has no idea what he's talking about. What the fuck?
Yeah, I kind of see what like the point that he's trying to make, but when I read this, I also hear let's invite big business to come in and take over so that the small
Well, what I
actual
see, like
producers can't
reading between the
participate.
lines, you know, when he said that bit about, oh, this cannabis business in my constituency, which means, you know, they are in his local area. We
Right.
should do good for them. And it's like, maybe
Yeah.
that met in the pub one day or something, and, you know, had a little conversation, a few envelopes passed around, allegedly. And maybe that's why he's got a sudden change in mind, because he clearly doesn't have a clue what he's fucking talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right.
I mean, at least he's talking about it, I guess, and that might open things up. But he added, it is all the more important, I think, in the context that we see the industry and a modern progressive industry as a step forward. And so it's an investment in my constituency that I'm enormously supportive of. And I particularly hope that the good horticultural, administrative, managerial, and logistic jobs, which will anchor young people in the constituency, will flow from it because they all too often feel the need to leave these communities for the want of opportunities. And I guess he's talking about some pretty rural areas in the UK where maybe there's not a lot of stuff going on and people have to go to larger areas to find work. So that's a
Right.
pretty good, I don't know,
Problem
angle.
is,
So
it's going on about farmers and stuff, but you can't grow medical cannabis outside. So all these farmers are going to be indoor farms. So
Right,
they all need to be qualified in like botany and stuff like that, and
right.
electricians and plumbings, and so it still need ordinary jobs. I can understand keep it. It's probably a lot of warehousing maybe they could use to then have these businesses, but it doesn't help the
Right, but
farmers, does it?
it still goes back to what I said about in that last story. Okay, so here they're trying to get farmers to do this, right? Create new businesses and stuff. But what they're creating doesn't come to the country anyways and get used. So nobody's gonna do it.
Who the fuck they're going to sell it to? They have to sell it
That's
to
what I
everyone in
mean.
Canada
Like,
and
Right.
that, isn't it? Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I guess if you're supporting this kind of project, you must also potentially support some kind of medical, like improvements in the medical program or
right.
legalization or something to go along
We
with
can
it. Because
hope.
you're right. What's the point in having all these farmers in the middle of the country grow if there's no market for it?
Right.
So
Madness.
it is madness. But I mean, at least he's kind of pushing for it. It's not
Mhm.
perfect,
Yeah.
but
No, that's good.
yeah, because it sounds like right now, I don't know, as always, the UK's a little fucked up, allegedly.
But you can't say that. We can say that, Margaret. You can't say that. That's not
Oh,
cool.
can I not? Oh,
Yeah,
Listen, she's under the
that-
queen. It's fine.
that's
that's
racist.
Okay,
true.
Yeah,
whatever.
that's right. That's right.
Commonwealth.
We're trying our best, all right? But
Yeah,
yeah,
so that's
so
the gist of the article anyway.
so there are MPs out there speaking out for it and trying to get things done. So shout out to that guy. You know,
Yeah,
keep
that's
trying.
good.
But nothing's going to change here anytime soon, as far as I can see, in my opinion. What do you think, Billy? Any change to the laws in the UK anytime soon in the UK?
Yeah, I can see it changing in a couple of months myself.
Is that? I don't know if that's sarcasm or what. I didn't read it
Yeah,
well.
Right.
That's how good I am. No, mate, it ain't gonna fucking change forever unless we walk up there and drag them all out of office and put new people in. Then nothing's gonna change. So, and that ain't gonna happen either way. So we
Shocking.
Does
can't do
this guy
nothing,
have
mate.
any particular, like it says he's a former minister and he's a conservative MP, but is he an influential politician or is he more
No,
of a
he's Scottish.
backbencher?
Don't be stupid.
Oh.
He's got no say.
He's got no say. No one has even heard of him.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
I don't know who the guy is either.
Yeah.
So he must not have a lot of power. It's a shame.
Right.
Well, he's a conservative, so he has no power.
But yeah, right now, yeah, it doesn't have any power at all. Yeah. It's all about these Labour fuckers who are still here for the next 4 years at least.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Quick,
So
move
that-
on.
Yeah, that's all the news we have for this week. We got the just a little bit of forum news. We have High on Hash Club. Billy, you want to quickly talk about High on Hash Club?
Yeah, man. High and Hash Club. So it's a new little stream started, and it's basically a social club where we all sit there and smoke some hash, and I chat shit, and maybe have a guest or two on to chat about hash and what they've made recently. Really, so it's mostly a social club where everyone comes and be social and chat
Just talks about
stupid stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, just chat shit, man.
Nice.
So
We also
there's a little link there in chat for you, all you
Nice.
chankers.
Nice and easy. Head over there, subscribe, everybody. And then for forum news as well, we have the plant of the month that has started because it's February, new month. I didn't even realize. Like, I woke up this morning, checked the clock, and on my phone, and it said 2nd of February. It's like, what happened to the 1st of February? All of a sudden it's fucking February now. So yeah, it went up a day late, but it's up now. So if you haven't got involved in Plant of the Month, then go and get involved. And anybody who enters with a valid entry for Plant of the Month will be entered into a prize draw to win some beans. And if we have more than 20 entries this month, then we'll give away 2 prizes instead of just 1.
Nice.
Sounds good. But yes, I think that's everything. Is there anything to add on your side of things, Margaret? You got anything to add about Bite Me?
Oh, not at the moment. I've been away for the last week, so I've been like totally unplugged from everything. But
Nice. Must be a nice
I'm gonna
feeling,
get
though.
back into it this week. It
Yeah, I
is.
was gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah. It was definitely needed.
Mm-hmm. You work too hard, Margaret.
Yes, I do.
That's right.
Yeah.
A proper professional.
Minimal. Yeah. Thank you.
But yeah, that's everything, I think. Let's go to a smoke break. We have a smoke break. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I got smoke, so let's have a break.
Let's go. Yeah, we're on a smoke break now. Let me grab that Mighty again, because that was delicious. Right, yes, some cool news stories there. What you say,
Another
Billy?
thing as well, you was on another podcast last night, weren't you?
Was I? Oh, we don't talk about that one
Yeah.
here so much, Billy. Let's not talk about the conspiracy episodes.
Oh, I'm curious now.
Well, we started
Oh,
well,
Marty.
Billy has started a new channel. I'm involved in it as well, but it's more like Billy's project. I think is like he is the host of the show and shit.
Yeah.
Because I already have enough shit to do. People hear me talk too much shit already. So yeah, Billy's taking the helm on that one for live from Airstrip 1. It's called, right, Billy?
Yes, it is. Live from Airstrip 1.
Yeah,
There's a link
yesterday's
here
first
somewhere.
episode. Yeah, and we like once a month we're just going to chat some conspiracy shit. And yesterday we spoke about aliens. It's an
Ooh.
interesting conversation, man.
There's certainly no shortage of stuff to talk about these days, it feels like.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
right.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hoping that the old a few things come out in some releases so we can talk about them.
I know. That would be very cool. But I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to happen. What we got is like 15 days for them to organize how it's going to be released, and then like 60 days where it should be released. We're looking over a period of
Yeah.
3 months. We should see all the JFK files be released and the files on RFK
Hopefully.
and Martin Luther King as well. Hopefully.
Mhm.
And there's also another list that might be when they want it out, don't they, as well?
Wow.
So yeah,
man.
interesting stuff.
Let's see what happens. See what happens. I'm skeptical. I don't think that anything's going to be released of any value. Well, it's not going to have much impact on anything, but we'll see what happens, won't we? See what happens.
Be interesting.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, either way.
So yeah, we'll keep an eye over on Percy's, and you'll find out the link for when we do another episode. What was that we're going to talk about next time, Billy? Can you remember? We said something, didn't we?
Yeah, but we probably smoked too much and forgot this since then.
Yeah, marijuana affects the memory.
Yeah.
Remember? No. Yeah, man. So interesting. It was a good show. Good conversation about aliens and shit. It makes me realize sometimes maybe I just looked into this stuff a bit too much, man. Right. Am I one of those crazy conspiracy theorists and I don't even realize it? You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
Maybe.
I mean, how crazy are we talking? Are we talking like Alex Jones crazy or?
What's wrong with Alex?
Well,
Alex
no,
Jones is a legend.
David Icke would be more
Crazy.
of the more up on the scale than Alex Jones. I think David Icke is like way up there.
Yeah,
way above
yeah.
the Alex Jones.
No, but like tinfoil hat wearing, acid taking, because I have a big hoodie that I like to wear, so I got this oversized fucking hoodie thing that I wear.
The thing
And
is,
I
you
take
don't
acid
believe
on the
in
odd
ghosts
occasion
and shit,
and
do you? But
mushrooms.
you do believe in the fucking simulation theory, so you are a bit of a conspiracist in that way.
No, it's not like I believe in it. I just say that the chances are we live in a simulation.
Pretty high.
Because
Yeah,
the
so-
chances are we do. That's just, it's mathematics, man. It's statistics. It makes perfect sense.
But you're no flat earther.
No, absolutely not. That's
Is that
crazy
what
talk.
you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, my
Nobody
hair can be
wants to
messy
be a flat
sometimes, so I
earther,
can
man.
look a little bit crazy. You know?
Look into
Totally.
parts half of it. So
Yeah, I think so. I think some of the people I know think I'm just a crazy conspiracy nutcase. You know? But that's just how it is. That's just how it is. If
but
anybody
how
wants to
many of
try and
those
convince me
things-
otherwise. Sorry, John.
How many of those things have come through to be, true
Exactly.
that you've been talking about is the question, actually.
Exactly. That's right.
Like a year ago, you might be called a conspiracy theorist, but this, now this year, you might be a philosopher in the situation. Because
yeah.
So as I cynic says, so if we are in a simulation, that means AI is God.
Not necessarily. Because it depends what you
Well,
mean by God.
yeah.
You have to really.
The creator and the who runs and rules over our creation and wrote our coding.
Yeah, but also
Our
because it
DNA
depends
and
what you
everything.
mean by God. That's the thing. Because maybe
I suppose,
maybe it is
yeah.
the creator. But when we
Yeah.
say God, do we mean somebody who we interact with? Do prayers make a difference? A personal God, does that exist, or just an overall creator, does that exist? There's different
But
versions
when we
of
say
God.
yeah, I know when we say God, but ultimately it means the creator. Really, that's what the real meaning of it is. And that's
Maybe.
why we believe in his interpretation of or everything we've read in all the books. So it's just our interpretation of God's word and God's shit, isn't it? Really, to be honest, all his thoughts and feelings are written down.
Anybody
through
hear my
us.
dog barking in the background there? Anybody hear that?
no.
No,
No.
good. Right, fucking. He's being a dickhead and just barking at random things for no reason.
Maybe he heard his name being called because it's God backwards, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Speaking of which, a random tangent. I was in a pet shop yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and some of you know I've been learning Mandarin for a while. And this Chinese lady came walking past. She had a cute little fucking dog, man. The dog's gorgeous. I was like, oh, that's a nice dog. Can I stroke your dog? She's like, yeah, cool. And stroked the dog. And, I didn't just want to speak Chinese to her straight away because that could be seen as racist. You speak Chinese to the lady and she's like, I'm Vietnamese, you prick.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
I'm Japanese, you racist cunt, So I didn't want that to happen. So I asked her, I'm like, where you from? She's like, yeah, from China. I'm like, cool, you speak Mandarin? She's like, yeah, I speak Mandarin. I said, oh, I've been trying to learn Mandarin for a while now. And I says, Ni da go piao lang, like that. And she was like, oh, wow, which means your dog is beautiful. See what I did there? I spoke Chinese to a Chinese person.
That's
That was
amazing.
cool. Yeah. And she was like, wow, that's cool. Yeah. I'm sure she was just entertaining me, because my pronunciation isn't great.
in her head, she's like, God, I can't believe
She's
what
like,
you
oh,
just
we
said to me."
butchered that so bad.
Right. Yeah, you say something completely different, maybe
You know.
potentially, but
Yeah, for real as well. Just saying it fucking, go versus go is completely different, man. Fuck. Yeah, your dog
Yeah.
tastes beautiful. You know what I'm saying? But her English
Why is she
accent
gonna
was
be that way?
perfect, It's like, damn. I hope I didn't just butcher it, but maybe she was just pleased to see somebody was learning her language. That was, maybe that was
Right.
it. But it was fun. I'm going to try and do it again at some point to somebody. Yeah,
Just
some
randomly walking
random
up to
China.
Chinese.
Are you
looking
Chinese
people
person?
on the street. That's pretty racist.
You know?
You just got to make sure they got a dog and not a cat, though.
你洗
Oh.
中文嘛? And then pow. No. Just think I'm taking the piss. Fucking hell. Funny.
honestly, I think most people, when you're trying to speak their language, are pretty thrilled to hear it.
Yeah.
I followed this guy, I think somewhere on TikTok, and he was a real, like, one of those people that could speak so many languages. And he was American that spoke a lot of really, what you might consider obscure languages. And he would go to places and start speaking the language to these people. And they were
What?
just totally blown away most of the time and so happy to hear this American speaking their language. And he was fluent in Chinese as well, like in Mandarin.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's fun. I've been taking a few
I think
days
it's just
off
the
the last few
French
days.
that are assholes about it. No.
Yeah, maybe. That
From
wouldn't
what I've
surprise
heard.
me, to be honest. As an Englishman, I'm not like I'm biased towards the French or
Right.
anything, but they
I've
do
heard that.
say the problem with France It's all the French people in it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
They say,
I've
I
heard
don't
that.
say that. I'm just saying it's a regular saying.
Yeah.
Well, I don't say that. Okay.
Mind you, there's a lot less French people in France now, so
Yep.
Oh
And here
boy.
comes Billy. Here comes Billy from left field. You know.
Jesus.
Yeah. So did everybody manage to get a drink?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
um,
I should be
no,
Billy,
Do
what have you been doing,
Do you
buddy?
need one? Do you,
good. Yeah.
No.
we got to go on to the grow guides pretty soon.
All right, fine.
yeah, no, I'm fine. Cool, man.
Right then. I think it's time to talk about some soil. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't done that. Yeah, everybody. That would be super cool. We would appreciate that. Let's move on to the
Press
grow
the
guides
booth button.
and talk about some different types of soil. Let's go. So this is episode 29 now, and we've covered absolutely everything you need to know about growing cannabis. Reasonably good detail, so anybody who doesn't know how to grow cannabis can listen to the first 25 episodes of this whole series and learn everything they need to know to come off with a pretty decent grow. So now we're kind of going into more detail about things and just getting more precise, just spreading a little bit more knowledge on the deeper things about specific topics that we may have already covered somewhat, but we're just going further into them now. And one of those topics is soil. We discussed grow mediums, with different types of grow mediums. We discussed, we talked about soil and cocoa and different hydroponic methods, and we briefly covered them all. But we want to go back to soil this week and discuss all of the different types of soil in a little bit more detail, because it does sound as if growing in soil is just one thing. You're growing in soil, but there's different types of soil with different amounts of drainage. You're going to have to feed some soils. Some soils you're not going to have to feed at all. There's certain ways you have to water different things, and it's more complex than it seems on the surface. So that's why we're going to be covering the whole growing cannabis in soil 101 is what we're calling this one. So yes, where do we even begin? Well, I have grown in soil in the past, but I don't anymore. But you do grow right now, don't you, Billy? You're in living soil.
Yeah, living soil is probably my favourite way out of everything I've grown so far. To be honest, it's nice and easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
Unless
easy.
unless something goes wrong, then it's not so easy, right?
Yeah, I've not really had much go wrong though, so it's been really easy, and it's been sort of 18 months, 2 years now. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's really simple.
What about you, John? What kind of are you growing in soil?
I've only ever grown really in some general purpose soil,
Right.
to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And the one time it just didn't work out for me. Bugs, man. So
Bugs,
I
man.
left that
Little
situation.
bastards.
Yeah.
You grow in soil, don't you, Margaret?
Yeah, I do. I'm no expert by any means. I'm still sometimes trying to figure it out because
Oh yeah.
I do mostly outdoor, but yeah, I do like it.
Mm-hmm. What kind of soil do you use when you're growing? Did you at one point you built your own soil, right?
Yeah, that's what I usually do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I build the super soil.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so look, a few terms pushed around there. We had some living soil, super soil, and then general soil, because there's different kinds of soil. And what you're probably going to do when you're growing cannabis, especially if you're growing indoors, you're going to be using pots where you're going to fill them with a particular kind of soil. So it's good to know which kind of soils are which and what does what. Right. So in some cases, you can go to the garden store we have here in the UK, a hardware store or something in the US, in Canada. I'm not sure but you know what I mean. The place where you go to buy all the
Yeah.
garden stuff.
Mm.
All right. And you'll see ordinary bags of soil there. We have this stuff I think called John Ines or something like that. We also have something called B&Q Verve. And this is the type of soil that people buy, and you can use it for most plants in your garden. If you're growing vegetables, you can use that soil. What kind of generic soil do you have like that? John, you said you used some stuff like that. Was it just generic from like a
Yeah.
garden soil?
I've used generic, but I mean, like, you can get all kinds of stuff. There's so many different kinds here that really you just want to look and see if you can see what's in the bag already. Like a lot of people, their first thing is, hey man, can I grow in Miracle Grow?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you can.
Yeah, you can, but not well.
Yeah.
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 What about you, Margaret, up in Canada? These kind of generic soils, what kind of generic soils do you get there?
I'm trying to think. I don't buy them, so I
Yeah,
don't really know. But like, I don't know, whatever
that's
brands you
cool.
buy at Canadian Tire or Home Depot,
Hmm.
like the regular stuff that people would potting soil or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And there's so many
most.
different kinds of potting soils too, though. Like there's
Hmm.
some
Yeah,
that
there
have
are.
nothing in them. There's some that have a little in them. Some that have a
Yeah,
bunch in them.
Some of them for
Like,
like different growing different types of plants as well. Like if you're
yeah.
buying
yeah.
potting soil, you could buy them for like succulents or cactuses or regular house plants or
Isn't the proper
Right.
plural term cacti?
oh, cacti, apologies. For
I don't
anybody
even
else
know.
who's
Is it? I don't know.
Sucks.
I just wanted to be a dickhead. Sorry.
No, I know.
But
My
yeah.
apology was also insincere.
Yeah.
Very nice. I like it. But yeah, that's it. You can just go out and buy these bags of soil. Everybody knows what we mean. Just this basic stuff. Now, it is good and you can grow cannabis in it, sure. But it's not going to be ideal. Cannabis likes to have this more not so strong, so the nutrients in it won't be so strong. They have a specific types of nutrients in there as well. But drainage is very important. You can't have this heavy soil. It has to be really light so loads of air can get to the roots nice and easy, and it doesn't hold on to too much water because the roots need to be able to breathe, and that's what cannabis likes. So if you get one of those soils, the ordinary soils, it might have too much sand in it, it might have too much grit in it, and it's just going to be heavier and denser and more compact, so the plant just won't be happy in it. So instead of getting that, if you are on a very low budget and you can't afford a decent soil, then you might have to just go with one of those and get a grower out the way and then save some money from not buying cannabis all the time and then spend an extra
Mhm.
20-30 bucks on trying to get a better soil, the next step up. So you do what you have to do,
I'd
but
say you're better off getting soil beforehand, really.
what do you mean?
Well, like you say, you said wait, buy cheap soil and then because you're gonna have to put feed in it anyway. So the money you spend
Yeah,
on
yeah,
the
yeah.
feed and the soil, you might as well buy a
No,
decent
not
soil in the
necessarily,
first
because
place.
you
I
can
think.
like top dress
Mm,
again with the soil. You can constantly use the piece. So
Right.
you don't necessarily. If people on a real low budget who might not have the money to to go out and spend 20-30 quid on nutrients and more expensive soil. Some people are on a real tight budget, man. So that I think that matters sometimes. Just use whatever
Mhm.
you can to get started and then upgrade as you go. you know. But next up after those soils, I mean, it's best to avoid them. Don't do it. If you can just spend a little bit extra money, then you can go on stuff that's specifically made for growing cannabis in it. And some of these brands would be like Canna, who kind of make cocoa, but you're not looking for that stuff. You're looking for Canna Terra. So it's called Terra, Terra, like terraforming. And that's only 15 quid a bag, so that maybe $20, $25 a bag, and that's a 50-liter bag. And you
Mm.
can, so it's not necessarily majorly expensive. It's like 2 or 3 times more expensive than the generic brand soil, but it's going to be 100 times better for growing cannabis in it. So this is where you want to head. You want to try and go in that direction if you can. There's Canna Terra is one. Dutch Pro is another one I've seen many people use. BioBiz All Mix. There's a few out there. There's even this one, man, what was that? The back one,
Fox
Playground.
Farm.
Yeah, Fox Farm. Is that an organic soil
Yeah.
or is that just the standard soil, John? Do you know?
I want to say that's kind of standard, ain't it?
Yeah, it's not
I
like
don't think they're doing anything crazy to that.
right. Yeah, what
There's
can you think of
there's
any there?
another soil I
then.
keep thinking of, like black gold or something.
Yeah, I
The
know what you
guys in the
mean.
comments. That's more like a soil that you're gonna want to add, get, like perlite or something to open it
Yeah,
up, or
yeah.
clay pebbles or
It's a good
whatnot.
point. What
That's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
soil.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good point. Yeah, these initial ones we said in the first place, these heavier soils, if they don't have good drainage, you can use stuff like perlite to help out with that as well. So you can add that
Mhm.
to the soil. But again, it's better to just go straight up with these ordinary soils. Well, I say ordinary. They're ordinary for growing cannabis. The Canna Terra,
Yeah.
the Dutch Pro, the BioBiz All Mix. Can you think of any there, Billy? Not the full
Nah,
living
not
soil, super soils. Not that yet. Just
nah,
cannabis
not normal
kind of.
style. Just the not that you've mentioned everything I've used.
Yeah, that's it. They're the
Yeah,
top brands, aren't they? But
yeah.
Yeah.
see,
Oh,
now the
sorry,
problem is with these
Husblock does
soils,
Gaia Green too.
Gaia Green. I don't know if that's fully organic, but
Yeah, I don't know if it is.
because we're on that mid kind of soil right now. What about in Canada, Margaret? Like you can get Dutch Pro and Canna and all that them kind of
Oh,
soils,
I
can't
think
you?
so. Honestly, I have no idea about brands, but if
Mm.
I was to look for something like that, I would not go to Canadian Tire or Home Depot. I would probably
Yeah,
go to the local hydroponic shop
yeah.
Yeah.
where they definitely have a ton of growers
That's it.
and have for
The
a while.
Canadian Tire and the Home Depot, that's gonna have the generic soil, like we said to
They're gonna have
start
like the
with. That's gonna have that.
Miracle Grow kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go to like an actual hydroponic shop, they'll know what you're looking for.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So check that out, and it's not going to be massively expensive. Massively more expensive than those cheaper soils. So that's what you should really aim for. But then, well, before we move on, with these ones, right, with these types of soil, then they've probably got enough nutrients in them so you can plant your plant in it, and it will be fine for 3, 4, maybe 5 weeks with no food, just water. So you're just giving it water for the whole time. But at some point, the nutrients in that soil is going to run out, and you're going to have to replace it by using certain nutrients. And there'll be different lines you can use for different brands you got. So if you're using Canna Terra, you can use their specific soil range. I think it's called Canna Vega or something like that. Do you know, Billy? Do you know the name of Canna's soil range? What's that? Terra is the soil, Vega might be the food,
Yeah.
but you can do the
Yeah,
research on
it's just a
website for that.
Canna range, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's all Canna something. Yeah.
So definitely check that shit out. And then Dutch Pro as well, they have their own brand of nutrients. And I just find that if a company makes a medium and nutrients, try and use both at the same time, because when they're doing tests on this stuff to see how good the nutrients work with certain plants, they're going to be using their medium to test that shit out as well. So,
Right.
use them both together. So if you're using a Dutch Pro soil, use Dutch Pro nutrients. If you're using Canna soil, use Canna nutrients. That's just my opinion. Of course, you can do it whichever way you want to do. It's your grow, man. So do what you think is best, but that's just my opinion on it. But yeah, after 3 or 4 weeks, that kind of soil needs to be fed again, unless, say, you're starting in a small pot from seedling, you're doing just 1 liter pot, you're growing that plant out for a couple of weeks, and then you're going to transplant it into the next pot, which is going to have a lot more soil in it, which puts more nutrients in it. So you might be able to push not having to buy nutrients for 5 or 6 weeks if you're going to go in that kind of method there. But at some point, to keep the plant happy in a soil like that, you're going to have to buy nutrients at some point, which adds to the overall cost, but it spaces it out a little bit more. Reasonably easy way to grow, but people have problems with this kind of stuff. I see one of the main problems when people are growing in soil like this is they overwater it. There's certain techniques you have to go and use when you're watering plants in soil. You know what I'm saying? Does anybody want to talk about that?
Definitely different. I don't
John,
have much experience in it except for that one grow, man, and it took me a while to figure it out, because I was always just my pot was always soaked. I just couldn't figure it out right away. So it took me a few weeks to get it.
Yeah, it's a big problem for people who start growing in soils like this. Is they just overwater, and you need, and it's a fine balance as well, because you're supposed to do this wet and dry cycle where the soil is really wet and the plant can get loads of fucking moisture from it, but you need to let the pot dry out to the extent where the pot is really light. And it's like there's a trick you can use with a pencil, like put a pencil in it for a couple of inches, put it back out, and if the soil's stuck to it, then it's still too wet. You have to really let it dry out, but not too much so the plants are wilting. It has to get to the right stage.
Right.
Usually 2 or 3 days is good enough, depending on the size of the plant and the size of the pot, and how hot it is and how humid it is. So there's things to take into consideration. But usually 2 or 3 days seems to be enough to let it dry out, But it'll take practice with soil like that. Just getting the watering correct it can be difficult.
What I've found with the soil is, especially if you don't scrog on that, and if you're able to spin the plant round, you can sort of gather the weight of the soil from turning it around, if you know what I mean, by spinning it, or even if you can just lift it a little, and after a while you just get used to the weight of it. You just know, sort of thing.
If you can lift it easily, needs watering.
Yeah. Basically,
Simple, right?
It is pretty much like that, and it is just knowing that. How easy can you just drag it a little, and it's like, that's I can move that too easy. That's a bit light now.
I've tried my pots out so much before. Sorry, John.
You need to like when you first fill your pot, it's not going to be soaking wet. I feel like that's where you should start out judging. Okay, how heavy is this pot right now? And then just kind of as you water, you can kind of base
Yeah,
it off of that
if you've
feeling,
watered it after the next day, the top should be sort of half dry. If you know what I mean.
Mhm.
And you should
Yeah.
just be able to see that there's a damp spot and you watered it yesterday. The day after, you shouldn't be able to see if you've watered. If you know what I mean. If you can
Mhm.
still see it's all damp, then there's probably too much water in it. If you know what I mean. Because
Right.
then there's still a lot of moisture deep underneath. If you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So that's where you want it, all the moisture underneath, where it's going to just draw the roots, drawing downwards, and if you know what I mean. So that's where it held it in. It also depends on what type of pot you've got it in, whether it's in plastic or in the fiber pots as well. So it's just understanding,
Yeah.
That's it. There's loads of things to take into consideration,
yeah,
ain't it? It's not
it's
just a
just
simple thing.
time. It's
Yeah.
just the time, but I think the weight is probably the easiest way to judge it if you ain't using any other method. Just
Yeah.
or just sticking your finger right in.
Mhm.
No jokes there.
Well done, Billy. You fucking held back hard there. You probably got eye twitching and everything. Like,
Yeah, it is.
it's a proper twitching.
Quick, move on. Quick, move on.
Quick, move on. Ask another question. You've never used a soil like this for growing, Margaret. You only use your super soil nowadays. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I have been. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit different when it comes to watering, and you don't you want to keep it moist. You don't want to let it dry out like you would do in an ordinary soil because the bacteria is so important, right?
I think so. That's what
Yeah,
I've
I
been
think
doing.
so. Right. Yeah, that's the best thing to do, as far as I've heard, anyway. Well, yeah, it's just again just that type of soil, the stuff you get in a bag from the grow shop, rather than just going to any ordinary garden center. If you're using the garden center stuff, get some perlite with it, and just hope for the best. It's not going to be great, but it will get you a plant. But this kind of stuff, this Dutch Pro, the Canna, the BioBiz, these kind of mediums that are made specifically for cannabis growing, and obviously they won't say that on the bag because they want to try and keep it hidden. But that's what it's used for. So you will grow decent plants with that. Yeah, it's got good air to water ratio in the roots. The plants will be very happy. Good nutrients, good pH range. So that's the soil you want. If you want to grow in soil and you don't want to spend the crazy money you have to spend for the super soils and the living soils, which we're getting onto shortly, then consider going this route. But you're also going to have to buy nutrients and stuff. So it all adds up to be about equal. Right. So is there anything to add there about the bag soils, the ordinary soils from the grow shop? Anything else?
Yeah, with them soils, you can get fungus gnats quite commonly with them. So you do have to watch that at the start to get rid of them. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that it's more likely. Yeah. Well, hopefully a couple of bugs. But it doesn't usually work out like that, does it?
No.
A couple of land, it's just ugly bloke, an ugly woman fungus gnat. And it's like, I wouldn't sleep with you if you're the last fungus gnat on earth. And they don't, so there's no extras. Crazy scenario there. God damn.
That's right.
Right. So when you move on to the next level of growing and while using a specific kind of soil, you can start spending real money on things like living soil and super soils. Right now, there's a little difference between the two. Super soil is going to be a medium that is already packed with nutrients, and you shouldn't have to feed the plants for the whole grow. You should be able to go from germination up until harvest with just using this soil and giving it water. You don't have to put any foods in whatsoever. That's a super soil. And usually at the end of a super soil grow, you can re-amend it and add stuff to it again, but the bacterial life isn't as high as it would be in living soil. And this is why it's called living soil. It's not just packed full of nutrients, but it's packed full of bacteria, different isotopes, microbes, all this kind of shit lives in the soil to keep a food balance going. So it's part of them eating stuff and shitting it out that feed the plants. So it's a renewing cycle of food. It's a living soil. That's why it's called living. Got lots of life in there that keeps the plant thriving. So there's a slight difference between the two there, but either one of those, you won't be using a lot of nutrients. The nutrients are already in the medium. You just have to feed the soil essentially, and that will feed the plant when you're growing in living soils anyway. And this is your thing, anybody. Well, Margaret, you are growing in living soils. You say you made your own. Is that a super soil or a living soil?
Super soil, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you put it like rock dusts and things like that in
Yes.
it. Yeah, peat,
Yeah, I did.
cocoa. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's lots of recipes out there. We got one over on the forum at the TG recipe. I think that's what people know it as. So
Yeah,
check
that's
that
the one
out.
that I've
Mm-hmm.
used. Yeah, I usually make like a big batch of it in the spring, as big as I can,
And then let it cook for a while. Yeah.
yeah, and then use that throughout the year.
Yeah, so you can build this stuff, and it's highly recommended that you do that because when you're building it, you're going to use compost fats from your local area. So there's going to be local microbes and shit in this medium that you've built instead of getting something from the other side of the country or sometimes even the other side of the world. You know, if you can make it with your own compost, then having those local bacteria, local pathogens for the plant to get used to with its immune system, if you can get that's what you want to go for, and that's why it's a good way to build. You know, it's a good reason to build the living soil or super soil. But you can also buy this shit now, which is crazy because like 10 years ago, you really couldn't. Well, I've spent some good money on fucking boxes of soil before. Crazy, and it's like for a 50, no, it wasn't even a 50 liter bag, 35 liter box was about 50 quid. So you know it adds up. If you want to grow 4 plants, and say you're referring to our guide where you're just growing in a 4 foot by 4 foot grow tent, you got 4 plants in it, then you'd need 4 boxes of that shit, 4 35 liter boxes, because with this kind of soil you need big pots as well, because especially with living soil, let's say like 10-gallon pots or something, something like 50 liters, because that gives loads of space for the whole life form to thrive. It's a big city for them to live and spread their genetics, and have a whole ecosystem running in the soil. It's going to be a lot easier for them to do that in a big pot rather than a 2-gallon pot, some 10 liters.
I mean,
it's not enough.
I guess that's one of the questions between super soil and living soil too. Like living soil, you don't you want bigger pots. You don't like what's the minimum you think somebody's going to grow living soil in?
A 45 liter, I think.
Yeah.
For living soil, I think 45
I've
liters.
grown 60 liters.
Right. And you
can grow
use
some
living
nice
soil,
plants.
don't you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with a few amendments.
Yeah,
So it's quite easy, to be honest.
And this is it. It's expensive on the setup to get the soil, but at the same time, when you're buying shit like this, you're not going to have to buy nutrients. The nutrients are already built in. So if you're growing the soils, which you mentioned previously, the Canna, the Dutch Pro, you're also going to have to buy a nutrient range with that, and that'll be at least a liter of A and B, with some PK1314, maybe some root stimulators as well. Definitely CalMag. What are we looking at? 100 quid? You think? How much would you think?
Yeah,
Billy?
probably.
It's
about
about 100 quid.
About that.
Yeah, that's with
That'd
the
get you-
soil as well.
Yeah, that'd get you 100 liters.
Yeah,
It's about £1 a litre for the living soil.
It would be about right. So overall, kind of just adds up.
Balances
And we didn't
out,
even fucking include their pH meter, an EC meter. It all adds up, man. You won't
you don't need no
necessarily
equipment
need
like that. Yeah, you don't need no equipment like that. So you just need water and add it to it.
It is scary to hear like, oh, fucking 35 liters for 50 quid, and you're like, god damn, that's expensive. But realistically, when you add it all up, balance it all out, it's about the same. It just depends on what kind of growth process you want to be using as you're going through your grow. But the whole, I just think it's difficult. I've grown with living soils before, and it was just difficult to keep them happy like I can keep them in cocoa. You really have to get their ecosystem down, and then it will be happy. You have to amend them at the right time to make sure you don't run into deficiencies. You have to amend them with the right shit. Nothing happens overnight. Well, when you're growing in cocoa, if you see deficiencies, you add a little bit more feed, fucking water them, and it's fixed pretty quick. But with soils, it can take a little bit longer because nutrients have to become plant available. So you have to try and predict when issues are going to arise, which comes with experience, and and try and get them first before you even get any signs of it. So it can be a little tough. Like we said in the medium episode, you have to really figure out which one is going to work best for you and just move with it. Well, do you find that, Margaret? What do you think? Do you run out of... Well, you haven't been back growing very long, have you?
No, not really. No.
Are you running into any nutrient deficiencies with your soil yet?
No, not really. It seems to be going pretty good, actually. My only issue I've run into is that I just recently got a hydro bill that was pretty high.
Ooh, we
A what?
Yeah, a hydro bill,
water bill.
A
a
water
water
bill.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, damn. Is it,
And yeah, just the way that the furnace works in the house that I'm in, that makes sense to me. Like it's not that there's a ground source heat pump in this house.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, it's a long story, but yeah.
Yeah, you got to put the heat on a lot there as well nowadays, isn't you?
Oh yeah, it's
Hmm.
fucking cold out.
Yeah.
Right
My
now.
missus was going crazy the other day. She's like, fucking £200 gas bill. I've never had a £200 gas bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, it's not like we've used any more gas or anything. I had the heat on any extra. It's just because gas has gone up in price so much. Crazy.
Yeah, it's the electricity that's
Mm-mm.
yeah.
Random tangent. This is the
Yeah.
thing, man. It's an important discussion to have at some point. Like, how much does it cost to grow indoors now? Especially in the UK, we got the highest energy prices in the world for any developed nation, at least. And
Jesus.
it cost a lot, man. It cost a lot compared to when I had my lights running, and I was running in my last grow. I was running the Scorpion Diablo X from HLG, and this is 6 boards of high power quantum board goodness. You know what I'm saying? So the energy goes up, man. Energy goes up. It costs a lot of money. And at what point is it cheaper to just buy cannabis? And that's just it. It's always better to just grow your own, just for the safety aspect. You know, when you can go and buy ounces for 120, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
When
it
does it become cost
definitely becomes
effective?
a factor, especially when I've grown
Mhm.
mostly outside.
Yeah,
I don't even have to think about that stuff, but
yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
yeah.
Random
Outside is
tangent.
the best
Sorry.
soil.
Yeah. And that's it, right?
Yeah.
That's another kind of soil, is the stuff outside, man.
Yeah.
I would, I don't know, here in the UK, for most people in ordinary houses, I wouldn't say just putting the plant right in the ground is going to ever be the best way to go about it. You could dig a hole, fill that with some good soil, and then plant your plants in it, and then it's going to be much happier in those situations. And then that
That's
soil
what I
will
did
develop
last year
over
too.
time. Yeah. How did
Yeah.
it turn out?
I mean, last year wasn't great. It wasn't a great season, but that's because I got them in. It was a whole thing. I got them into the ground really late, so that was.
Right.
Yeah.
It is what it is, but yeah. But yeah, I did use some of the living soil or the super soil that I made and put it in the hole before I put the plant in, just to give it that extra boost.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Drainage is so important, and that's the most important thing when it comes to soil. I mean, of course, you need the good nutrients and stuff, but there's nutrients in all different kinds of soil. It's that aeration, man. The cannabis plant likes to be in a nice, light, airy soil, so you can get loads of air to the roots. And if you can do that, the plant's gonna grow, man. You know.
Loves the air.
Mm-mm.
I
Loves
do
to
think
breathe.
with the living soil, you should always like give your plant a little top up, not just because it needs it or not, just because it keeps the soil regenerating as well. If you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Preventative.
it's always there for the next grow if it's not
Mhm.
used. So it's never goes to waste. With the if whatever you put in it becomes the soil, so it's nothing ever goes to waste. So that's the nice thing about it.
Mhm,
You just
mhm.
throw it on top, mix a bit of fresh soil in, and sorted.
That's right. I mean, Marco was saying with his living soil, you know, and if anybody wants to know about that, you go and check out the episodes we've done with Marco, the interviews. The man knows his shit, man, and he has a layer of straw on top of his living soil, and it gets broken down by the microbes and the life in the soil and feeds the plant. You know, and this stuff you can get from pretty close. You don't have to be buying nutrients from the other side of the country or the other side of the world. I have to be shipped to you. You know, and it's much more economically friendly and environmentally friendly to
You
just
can
get
buy
this stuff locally
microbes
sourced.
as well
Hmm.
to add to it. So yeah, it's well easy.
Yeah, man. Who does that? So good brands, right? Let's quickly discuss some good brands for the living soil and the super soil. And I know there's Soham. I think Soham is a super soil because
Yeah.
when you get it, it's really dry, and if it comes really dry, then microbes in it are probably dead. So you're gonna have to water them, and if there are microbes, then they'll kick into action once they get some moisture. But they're gonna take time to reproduce, and spread throughout that soil as well. So you need to give it time for that shit. So I would say that the Soham living soil is more of a super soil, which you can grow for about 12 weeks in it when you won't see any deficiencies in your plant, as long as you don't overwater. You know, what else Who's yours, guys? Billy, Doctor
Dr. Organics Living Soil I use,
Right,
and that's
okay.
really nice.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
everybody I've seen using that has been very happy with that. But again, expensive on the initial setup, but you don't have to buy nutrients so much. And the nutrients you do buy, you can
Again,
get
like you say,
reasonably cheap.
no meters and stuff like that as well. So that's
Yeah.
50 quid saved there.
And it's important
Build a
as well.
Soil's another one, ain't it?
Yeah, Builder Soil. Yeah, Jeremy from Builder Soil, who's been on the show as well.
Yeah.
And you can get all the shit you need to put your own soil together. But if you are building your own soil, you have to leave it for a few weeks. Like Margaret, you said that when you built your soil, you left it for some time, right?
I did, yeah. Yeah.
How long did you leave it for? Can you remember?
It's been a while, but I think I leave it for at least a month.
Yeah. Yeah, a month,
Maybe
6 weeks.
longer.
Something around there seems to be decent. Just to let everything break down and for the life to become active in it. Let it cook for a while is what people say.
Yeah, it's called cooking, isn't it? Yeah, you got to let it cook.
Yeah, man. So if you are building
you're
your
from
own,
Breaking
bear that in mind.
Bad.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So there's also Eco Thrive soil that you can get here in the UK. Yeah, that's a good soil. That's a wet soil. It's got stones in it. Remember, there used to be stones in there. It's good soil, good dark soil. That was the one I paid 50 quid for 35 litres for. So there's a few brands there. There's Soham. That's Southern Humboldt is where the soil is from in the USA. And then Eco Thrive, I'm not sure. They have some other stuff as well. They have like microbe teas that you can buy as a powder, inoculants and things like that. So that kind of stuff goes well with their brands as well. And with the Dr. Organics Living Soil, they've also got additives you can buy and add to the soil, like in between each grow, right, Billy, to amend it?
Yeah. They sell all the amendments and the top dressings and that. So it's all good. It's good to go. Add water, and that's it.
That's right. And just water it properly, isn't it?
Yeah, you just got to water it and keep
Don't
an eye on it,
overwater.
really.
Don't underwater.
overwater.
Yeah. Just find that balance, man. Find that balance. And you can, as long as you keep that life running in there and keep feeding it the right stuff with the living soil at least, then it's just going to keep renewing itself. And, you just keep the soil fed, keep what's in the soil fed, and you'll be able to grow plants in it happily for a long time. Some people got raised beds that have been going for years and years,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So
it is.
crazy.
So fucking cool. Yeah, so what would you recommend for a new grower? What do you think, John? For a new grower, what would you recommend to them? Just living soil?
I mean, if
box
they're
soil,
new,
some
just
soil?
I mean, it really depends, on budget.
I would
Are you
say
starting
living
out?
soil, just because you don't have to get none. You measure out nutrients you don't have to throw that out the window, which is a whole big headache. You don't have to buy all the extra equipment as well. So I think it just makes, especially nowadays, it just makes so much more sense to go the living soil route.
I think so.
It just does,
Yeah.
especially for a new grower. Living soil, LED lights. All you have to do is add a jug of water and get that right. That's literally all you have to get right is your water balance. Right. So that's one thing. And then apart from the topping and that, but you don't have to learn about nutrients and if you've got pH your water right, is it up, is it down, is it left, is it right? It's like, no, mate, you just got to add the water, pour it in. Is there too much? Is there not enough? There you go.
Well, what do you think, Margaret? Would you recommend the same thing for new growers? Just get stuck in with the living soil straight away.
Yeah, I think as people maybe more intuitively understand soil. I've tried cocoa growing once before, and I found that tricky. Yeah.
Yeah, each day, because I've done all the mediums now pretty much, and the one which works best for me is just cocoa because I know what I'm putting into the plant. I know what's coming out of it. Can keep a healthy plant from start to finish. I just had trouble with growing in soil at some point, like week 3, week 4 in flower. I'd start running into deficiencies, and I just never got them fixed in time. I just didn't anticipate them properly. And I know that would have been different if I just took more time with it and, just took notes and kept track of things, then I would have been able to avoid it. You can get used to any medium, but I've found that people who start in hydro find soil difficult, and people who start in soil find hydro difficult. That just seems to be the way things go because it's such, there's a contrast between the two different mediums, and just one way usually works best for others, And I saw a loss in yield when I grew in soil as well. So just bear that in mind. Compared to like, because when I'm growing in cocoa and you can water it every day and keep it well fed, keep it happy. Plants in cocoa grow ridiculously fast, and you can produce high quality shit. But I found when growing in soil, it took a little bit longer and there was a slight reduction in yield. Not a huge boost in quality either. It's not, but it was easier to do because you just had to really just give water. Every day mixing up cocoa water, like here's 2mm A, 2mm B, and 0.5 milliliter CalMag, drip, 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 drip. Yeah, now it's at 5.6, too much. Fuck, start again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every fucking day, you got to do that shit. It can become a chore, but if you can make it fit into your day, it becomes easy. That's not the problem with soil. You don't have to do that. When I was growing in soil, it was so nice sometimes to be like 3-4 days and haven't had to do a single fucking thing.
With my soil, I can go on holiday
Mm-hmm.
and not even give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah.
But how long of a
Screw you.
holiday would you
Screw
say?
your cocoa. Well, I
You know
wouldn't
what I
go
mean?
for 4 days. I'd go for a week quite easily. I could
You
do
wet her
10
down real
days.
good though, I bet.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
leave some in the bottom of the tray, and it soak it up, and then by the time I come back, you just got to, because I've grown 65 liters, it can hold a lot of water in.
Yeah.
If you fully water it and then put some in, so it lasts for
You
ages.
probably
so it's
actually would enjoy that dry period,
It's exactly,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
it'd have a proper wet and a proper dry period, and then
Mhm.
sorted. Like you'd come back, water it, and then like I've had no issues. I had more
Yeah.
issues when I was growing in smaller sized pots when I went away. So when I went to but that was sort of standard soil, not living soil. So when I went to the living soil and went up to like 60 liters and 65 liters, then I've had 0 issues when I've gone on holiday. None.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
That's it. Pros and cons to all of them, because you can set up a reservoir with a cocoa grow and auto water it for 15
You can
minutes.
do that for soil too.
Yeah.
With glue mats and such.
There's so many different ways to do this shit, and there's many ways to go swimming with a cat, as we like to say. That's right. Soil it's a great way to grow, man. It can be easy, but it can be a bitch. But it's all going to be difficult with a bit of a learning curve, no matter which way you start. So choose which way is going to work best for you, and go with it. That's pretty much that's the type of soils that there are. There's the cheap stuff you can get from any ordinary hardware store or garden store, just the ordinary soil for ornamental plants and shit like that. Avoid those if possible. But again, if you're on a budget and you just really need to get started somehow, it's an option. But preferably you should start off with the shit you'll get from the grow shop, which is Canna Terra, Dutch Pro, BioBeers, Fox Farm, a brand like that, and that's going to get you started off. It's going to get you going with the basics. But with those kind of soil, you're also going to have to buy nutrients, which is, the A and B. And if you want to know more about nutrients, go and check out the episode we did specifically about nutrients as well. But you're going to need something A and B, and with some CalMag and some PK, maybe a root booster. So you're going to need that stuff when you're growing in those kind of mediums. And then, then you can spend the extra money to get your living soil or your super soil. The super soil is going to be good for up to 12 weeks. The living soil, you can maintain and keep it running for years and years. And it's not like you can't do the same with super soil. You're just going to have to, buy some microbes that you can add to it and shit. Make it more living. But living soil is the way to go for a long period of time, and a very cheap way to grow once you've got it up and running as well. So with that, you just have to decide what works best for you. Anything to add with all of that there? I mean, there's a lot of information about soil. I hope it all makes sense to people. What do you think, Margaret? Anything we're missing out on here?
I don't think so. I think you kind of just have to experiment and see what method you like the best. You're gonna be drawn to one more than another probably.
Yeah.
And what fits into your life and your routines and stuff the best.
I mean, it might also deciding factor might be the way you're wanting to grow also. Like perpetual, or if you've got 1 tent or 2 tents, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a good point.
You aren't going to be moving around a 30-gallon or 15-gallon pot, if you're trying to flip tents and stuff. And
yeah, and if you're going outdoors, just soil, all right? any kind of soil. Just as long don't be growing a hydro outside. That's gonna be a mission. But yeah, any kind of soil is good. The shit in the ground is good, you know. But if you do live in an area where it used to be a building site at some point when all the houses were built, then if you got plants that just grow around in in your garden, if you got a big garden, you got plants that grow like nettles and stingers and shit just randomly, and they do pretty fine, and the soil's probably going to be good. But it's always a good idea to just loosen it up a little bit, add some perlite maybe, just to help with drainage and things. But planting right into the ground, if it's good soil, is the way to go. Perfect. But if you're indoors,
Beautiful.
buy some living soil, man. Do it. Invest. Because that soil can go for, like, who I think it was Marco as well, who said that one of his soil beds were running for 7 years, man.
Wow.
7 fucking years. And at one point he had to go away for a while, so he just put a cover over it and left it. It went frozen over the winter. He came back and it was just fine to run again. You know what I'm saying? So, and you don't have to, with cocoa, I mean, you can rebuffer it and shit, but damn, that's a bit of a mission. With the Canna Terra and shit like that, I mean, you can reuse it again, but it's going to need a mending and all of that shit. It's a big pain in the ass, man. If you got just normal living soil like that, it's just going to keep doing its thing. Keep feeding the soil and it'll stay happy. I don't know. I think we're pushing people in the direction of living soil here. But remember, everybody, make your own decision.
Yeah.
You know, just figure out what's best for you and go what's best for you. If you don't have the money right now to be spending fucking $200-300 on soil, then just
save
go with
up
something
and
cheaper.
wait.
That's crazy. You don't want to wait.
No,
You should do though. You should do, man. So I think if you waited, you'd make such a difference in that soil, because
Yeah, but
if you buy
if you
shit
didn't
soil,
wait,
you're gonna grow
if you
shit
just
weed.
if you got a cheap run up and running and you're smoking a Q a week, in a month, in 2 months, 3 months it takes to do the grow. Say, or even maybe 4 months. Let's say 4 months, 16 weeks from start to finish.
Well,
And
then
if you're
do
smoking a
one
Q a
bag
week,
instead of
that's
4.
fucking shitloads of money, and that can pay
Do
for your
one
whole
bag
grow.
instead of 4. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, but what, and grow one plant?
And grow one plant, you'd still grow one big plant, and that'd be enough for you to save up for the 4 plants the next time round.
Yeah, man. Well, that's Billy's opinion, and that's mine as well. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Margaret agrees as well. If you get started, that's the important thing. Get started, upgrade as you go. Get started. Do what you can to get started. And some people just might not be able to save up the fucking 50 quid and shit per bag of soil. But step by step, do what you have to do, man. But definitely living soil seems to be the way to go. And it never used to be an option like 10 years ago. You would have to go out and get all these different parts to just build your own soil. But to be able to buy it ready-made in a box and shit, man, it's made so easy for us nowadays. We're so lucky. No, yeah, but yes. Anything to add? That was good little grow guides there, talking about soil. I hope it makes sense to everybody. Of course, any questions, you know where to find us on percysgrowroom.com. But any of you guys got anything to add here?
I don't.
No.
Unless you want to comment that it's 69 watching now.
Shout out to all of you 69ers. Nice. Right, yeah, so with that, let's go on to some listener mail. Let's go.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
What's in store this week?
Yep.
Everybody sounds so reluctant,
Woo,
Well,
yeah,
first one
listener
from
mail.
Turpo. We're going to do this in order of which they were received. And we got a good question about actual growing stuff from Twisted later on. I'm not saying the other questions ain't good, but, there are people who like to hear some grow stuff as well. I'm just letting you know there is grow stuff coming. But we got a couple of interesting questions to start with here from Turpo. And, yeah, thanks to those guys sending questions to us. We do appreciate it. I know sometimes they're not cannabis related, but we enjoy those questions just as much as any other. So thanks for sending them along. We have from Turpo. Now, this is an interesting one. We're going to start off with you, Margaret. You ready for this? If animals could talk, which one would you have a conversation with first? What would you ask?
Oh, God. I mean, I this is obviously in the show notes. I looked at it before the show started, and I should have been anticipating this. So
No,
thanks for asking.
you shouldn't have taken notes and answered it beforehand. This is the best time. Let's go.
I know, but like of all the animals in the entire world, which would I have a conversation with first? You know what? I've been kind of into birds lately, so maybe it would be a bird of some sort.
Nice. Yeah.
No, I know the two animals I'd go straight to, and that would be the both cats at the White House and 10 Downing Street.
Jesus.
That's
You know what I mean?
interesting.
Like,
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Be some fucking interesting shit said by them, wouldn't they? They must have
Mhm.
witnessed some.
Wait, I
mad
wouldn't
shit
ask the
there.
cat. I mean, if a dog was there, you know, that's the dog. But the cat would be like, "Why are you talking to me, human?"
Yeah. The thing would pull a knife on you, bro.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, no. But the cat might come up to you and start stroking you and giving it some feed me. All these cunts are right evil. I can tell you some shit about these
Yeah,
fuckers.
it's like the fly on the
Yeah,
wall.
Maybe.
kind of
be,
thing.
yeah, if you know what I mean.
I get that.
Green
The
Grocer
dogs are
in
a
the
bit
chat
more
said,
loyal.
yeah, Green
Cats
Grocer
are
in the
not
chat
loyal, you see.
said, talk engineering with a beaver. Nice.
I'm asking my dog and finding out why the hell he's so pissed at the squirrels, man.
Yeah. There's some old
Mm.
ancient warfare going on there.
Right.
Shit.
Yeah.
Like it goes back to the ancient times.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
would you say, John? What's your one? You say the
That's
dog?
what I just said.
Oh,
the
the dog, okay.
The dog. It's got to be the dog.
Yeah. I don't know.
What you could do, speak to a dodo, and then you'd become a time traveler at the same time.
You get birds. I'm telling
There
you.
you
Okay.
go.
Telling you.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's some
Ma-
things to say. They've been observing things from up on high. And I would like to find
Mhm.
out like about that whole like cruising at altitude thing when they're soaring and just like is
Mm,
it as fun as it
mm.
looks?
Or what you
Yeah.
could do, ask goats, why the fuck do you climb up the fucking side of cliffs like you do, you mental
Yeah.
cunts?
What are you?
are
Yes.
you
What are you trying
on?
to prove?
Yeah, innit? Shit.
Yeah, I'd speak to like, I don't know, you know, like one of those animals that live at SeaWorld and shit. Because they
Oh.
apparently live really bad, but you could ask and be like, do you like living like this, or do you prefer being out there in the wild where you can get eaten by some crazy
bring it.
fucking wild shark or something?
I'd love
Yeah.
to talk to an octopus, I think. An octopi? What's the thing called?
Octopi.
Octopus.
Fuck knows.
They're just because they're so interesting and curious and intelligent. I think I would like to have a
Mhm.
conversation with one of those.
What about a conversation with a tapeworm? Does that count? You know?
No.
No.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
I know who I'd talk to. I'd talk to the person that smoked the cannabis that turned into a bat that created the coronavirus.
That
Mm.
rat
Dun,
bastard.
dun, dun.
Yes.
Yeah, why are they
So-
always bringing the fucking problems?
Yeah, it's always the bat's problem, isn't it?
It
It's always
is.
their
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah, the vampire-looking motherfuckers. Yeah,
They're scary. I mean, they're not, but they are.
yeah. Stay away from bats,
That's right.
everybody. They got rabies and shit, and
Yes.
coronavirus, allegedly.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
thanks,
does Batman
Turbo.
have
Yeah.
rabies? That's a question.
Maybe that's why his cheeks are swollen.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, interesting. But yeah, good question there, Turbo. Thanks for sending it in, bro.
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question there, and you get a little bit of insight into our psychology with questions like that. We have one from Filmy Balls. This is another crazy one. Brace yourselves, everybody. On hallucinogenic toads, what part of the toad do you like to lick? And do you think they like it back? By the way, Turpo was afraid to ask this question, and he asked me to post it. Yes, so thanks there, Phil. Thanks asking for a friend. He is asking on
Asking
behalf
for
of
a friend.
Turpo.
If you're asking for a friend, usually you would like maybe not include their name, but
Well, you're
Yeah.
going to avoid the balls, isn't you? You're not
You
really going
already
to lick a
outed
frog's
'em.
balls.
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Like.
I don't know. Maybe some people are into that. You know, fucking hell.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just drawing the line there. I'm not looking that bit.
Yeah,
And no
so-
matter how much acid you get off.
We're
of it.
think
we're gonna slowly
unfortunately-
minimize the parts you're gonna lick, not the balls so far. Everywhere
Yeah.
else is good. What are you saying,
I
Margaret?
think fortunately you don't have to lick any of the frog's private parts to get the effects you're looking for. I think it's pretty straightforward
Apparently.
from what I understand.
No, but
Couldn't
you
you
might
just
want
swab
to
it?
anyway. You know.
Swab it with something and then
To each
lick
their
the
own.
swab.
I mean, but what if you're
Yeah.
passing the frog around? Like, we all don't want to go to the
Ugh.
same spot, do we?
Oh, you know, that's weird, isn't it? How you're gonna pick up a fucking frog, and it's the California river toad. It's not actually a frog, but you know, and you're gonna lick a
Or
piece of
toad,
it, but then you're gonna be concerned if somebody's licked it before you. Like this is a toad.
They
man.
might have the
You know?
COVID. I don't know.
They might have the vid. Don't lick it.
Right. Why can't you just get your own frog? Can't you just get each person get their
What
own
if we've
frog?
only found one? Okay.
Well, then you're not trying hard enough.
That's right.
Damn it.
That's right. One of you lick it, and then after 10 minutes, you're gonna be seeing more frogs. Fuck.
Yeah.
You're gonna be
Can you lick
fucked.
it and then swab it so that it's fresh for
Mm.
the next person?
Well, if
But
you're
the way-
French, you'd be licking the leg, wouldn't you?
Oh
Or
gosh.
maybe.
Well, the way it's done is you don't actually lick the frog. Well, from what I know anyway, for the 5-MeO DMT, you don't lick the frog. You pop the spots on its back and you take the spots, the shit
Ew.
that's in the spots.
You just
and
made it worse.
maybe you don't.
Yeah.
And
Sounds
you,
like
you
nipple
smoke that
popping.
shit. That you let that
Ew.
dry out and smoke the powder. Yeah, like they'll
Frog
use
zits.
a glass, rub a glass on the toad, take off all that mucus off the back of it, and let it dry out, and then smoke that. And I think that's how they make 5-MeO
okay.
DMT from the
So it's actually like a
California
lot-
river toad. Is what it is.
A lot less. You don't actually.
Colorado. What is it?
So you
S-
don't
sorry,
actually
it's
lick
not-
the
Did I
frog
say
or
California?
lick the toad.
I think there's versions of the toad which you do lick, but it's you're supposed to just take that. The best way to do it is to take the slime off the back of the toad and dry it out and then smoke that. And it's the Colorado river toad is what you want to be looking for. I've looked at what I wanted to get them as pets here in the UK, and you can do it, but they cost like 600 quid a piece. But I thought that would have been a cool collection. Maybe you never wanted to lick one, but you know, it'd be cool pets though. Like you see them toads I got there. You know, you get your mom come round or something. Like, all right, Ma, how you doing? Look at these toads. You know what these toads do? Yeah, she'd be so
No, no.
proud. Anyway.
I will say that one's not high on the list of things to do.
No,
You
that's
don't-
not on my bucket list at all.
You don't want to lick the toad? You wouldn't do it?
No. I think there's other ways to get high that I,
Yeah.
involve less.
Enjoy
I'm
a lot
restrained to
more.
making jokes about Mackie's mum licking toads. So
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Calm down, Billy.
Precisely.
Calm
Yeah.
down
calm
now.
down.
Well, yeah, man. And do you think the toad likes it back? Do you think the toad enjoys getting licked?
No.
It depends
No,
where it's
no,
licking,
that's-
isn't it?
That's
Now-
offensive.
No.
Yeah.
Now we
you
got
to
to
court
talk
now.
about the toad.
It's
Yeah.
little home, and then
Yeah.
this poor thing's just like, what the heck? This ugly humans with their tongues
Right,
sticking out. as
violating.
cords.
You know what I
They
mean?
have a picture of a bear, and they say, "Where did the human lick you?" Show him,
Yeah.
point to it. Point to the spot where the
Exactly.
human
Yeah,
licked
I
And
you.
mean-
if animals could talk, I bet
Oh
they would have a
my.
lot to say.
Yeah. I'd
Maybe-
wanna talk
maybe
to
that's
the-
what we
to
should
the
ask.
toad.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
want to talk to the Colorado river toad.
Get
That's what I
back
want
to
to
the
say.
first
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Tying it
There
all
you
in.
go.
Tying it all in.
I don't mind being licked. I just wish they licked a little bit lower.
Whoa,
Right.
whoa.
I think the problem is they can't really provide consent, and that's an important.
Well,
piece
not that we
before
can
they're working.
understand.
Exactly, which is why maybe we shouldn't be licking toads.
That's right.
Yes.
I agree with that sentiment. Don't lick toads, everybody. It's not cool. You might give it
Unless-
something. I mean, we're all fucking gone about how the disgusting toad is there, but fucking one of us humans might give something to the toad, man. It works both ways, you know. We're disgusting
good
animals
point.
as well.
That's a good
You know.
point.
Indeed.
We're our own petri dish of stuff.
I mean, you start giving toads
Lots
fucking
of stuff.
the herpes virus is getting cold sores and shit.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Horrible.
Well, everyone
This
in
went-
chat seemed to like to lick the starfish instead, anyway. So
This went south. So
Them
bad.
brown starfishes. Yeah, I've heard about that.
yeah,
Is
the
that a
chocolate
thing
ones.
too?
Whoa, whoa. Okay. No, I'm not touching it.
Yeah, let's move on. Thanks for the
Moving
question
on.
there, Phil.
From there, yeah.
We got one more, which is from Twisted.
Can't even.
Yeah, quick shout out to Twisted, legend. He asks a question about advanced nutrients. I'm running advanced nutrients pH Perfect, Sensi Grow A and B, and Bloom A and B in Cocoa Qua. When I mix it up, the pH is around 6.5. Everything I've read says not to adjust the pH. It will be fine. I usually run at 6.0 pH. Have any of you used this line before? And if so, did you use anything to adjust the pH? They also said no need for CalMag. I did buy Sensi CalMag Extra from them, but I'm not sure if I should use it or save the issues may arise later. Any advice on this? Man, I used to use Advanced Nutrients pH Perfect when it first came out, like a long time ago, and it's good shit, man. It's good shit. But what I didn't like about it eventually, I did a couple of grows of it and it was all good. I was happy, but I found that it's good to let the pH swing sometimes. When you're in cocoa, you're trying to set the pH to 5.8. Sometimes you want it at 6.0. Sometimes you want it at 6.2. You want to be able to let that pH swing in between those levels. You set it at 5.8, but over the 24 hours in between feeds, as the you know, the chemistry of the medium changes, the water evaporates a little bit and shit, that pH should swing a bit, and that's going to give more access to the nutrients the plant wants. As the pH gets correct, the plant's going to be able to take it. So letting that swing a little bit, I think that was the best way to go. And the pH perfect stuff locks it in at a certain pH, and I just thought it didn't work very well for me. Also, very fucking expensive and very salty. So with Canna, for example, I'd be looking at a EC of 1.5 and my plants would be reasonably happy there. But you'd be looking at more 2.0, 2.2 when you're using advanced nutrients, even though the plant would still look as if it needs food, because it's extra salty, which I think that's what the the pH perfect shit is there for. That's the extra salts. That's what makes up. So I stopped using it, man, because I wanted to have not more control over the pH, but because this shit obviously has it locked down. But that has all the control of the pH. You want to have control of it. You want to let it swing and do its thing. So, and the pH perfect technology as well apparently is only useful at full dose, and they want you to put in 4 milliliter per liter of that shit.
Holy.
Far too much, man. Far too much. So it's good stuff, feeds the plant nicely, but as I say, it doesn't let the pH swing. You should be okay at 6.5 as well, because it's just chemically formulated in a specific way where the plant shouldn't suffer. You know, even if the pH is off, it can still get access to those nutrients that it needs to get access to. You know, there's other stuff in there.
Science shit there, because
yeah,
I would think 6.5 in cocoa is way too high.
Mm-hmm. Well, I used to adjust mine anyway. You know, if we were using 2 milliliter per liter, it still wouldn't bring it down to the 5.8 where I'd want it. So I'd adjust it anyway, and like add a little bit of pH up or pH down, whichever one needed at the time. And yeah, everything went fine. I never had a bad grow. The plants were always so fucking healthy, so happy. But it was just my own personal preference that maybe changed eventually, of the fact that you can't let that pH swing when you want it to. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you might want it a little bit higher or lower, depending on what the plant needs. So, and adding CalMag, yeah, don't listen to them, mate. The plant wants CalMag. Give it more CalMag. You know, there's
I mean, if
not
it's
enough.
got plenty of it already in it, you might not need to add it.
I don't know. It's always best to add more, I think.
I've always, like, even me growing, I know, you know, I got a 2-part that I use that probably every third water, I put in a little bit of CalMag just to give it a little something.
Yeah, what do you think about this one, Mark? Have you ever used advanced nutrients?
I have not. So I don't really have much to say about it. But
it's a decent brand. That's it. I'm not trying to say that it's shit, and I would still recommend for people to use it if they wanted to. I wouldn't say avoid it at all. You know, it's a good brand and they do good shit, but it's expensive and it's salty. So
yeah,
go with something cheaper, in my opinion. Yeah, like Canna, Dutch Pro is another one. We mentioned them a few times today, but they do a hydroponic range as well. Canna's good, Samurai's good. I've seen people use that and get good yields off it as well. So you don't have to spend ridiculous amounts of money. That's right. I seen he said in the chat there, 98% water, and that's it. The shit is 98% water. And that's what you're paying for. You're paying for shipping more than anything, to move a couple of liters of water with and the bottle, and the advertisement on it. Yeah. Anyway, what are you saying, Billy? You used some advanced nutrients before?
Living soul, mate.
Let's not talk about the past.
Yeah,
that's the best way to say. Living soul, mate. Living soul.
Yeah. And you, John, you ever used pH Perfect?
No, I never have. No,
yeah.
I went away from the bottled water nutrients.
Using just powder now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for some things, like my silica, which once I run out of this bottle, I'll switch to a powder, and then like CalMag.
Yeah.
You know, those are my 2 liquids, but my A and B, let's call it, those are just powders.
Yeah. And somebody said, Agnes Beckett in the chat there said, buy raw ingredients. And raw is a brand which you can go out and buy, you know, like nitrogen. You can buy all the fucking elements, man, and add it up yourself. But the thing what I like to do is keep it simple. And when you go into advanced nutrients pH perfect, the science has been done for you. They've mixed it up how it's supposed to be, and you're supposed to give it to your plant like this. They've done the research, man, and I'm happy with that, you know. Same with Canna and Dutch Pro and Old Timers and, you know, General Hydroponics, all these different nutrient manufacturers. They've done the research to make sure it's as good as possible for your plants. It's what it needs to be. So that's what I like to roll with.
I get that they made it as good as it's supposed to be, but then why do they have all the extras to buy?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
doesn't Advanced Nutrients have something like, I don't know, 20 different bottles you can buy?
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah, a ridiculous amount of shit. And
I mean, if you're really trying to put an A and B together, you should be giving me what I need that's going to make it without having to buy all the extra
I
shit.
think it's because like you can't put too much calcium. This is why A and B are separated. You got A and B
Right.
because one of those, I think it's the B most likely, will have calcium in it, which is going to react something that's in the A, and it will calcify, and there'll be little stones and grit inside the
Yeah.
nutrients because that's just the chemical reaction it does. So keeping them separate, make sure that they stay separate, and it extends the shelf life of them. If you put them
Right,
together, then it
right.
wouldn't last so long. I think that makes a difference. And some plants need more calcium and magnesium than others, and some need more pK at different times than others. So I think it's just because of that. But yeah, it's
I just don't like having 20 bottles lying around.
I know, right? And there's Advanced Nutrients do this thing like the hobbyist grower, the expert grower, the advanced grower, and each one has got a different amount of bottles, and it gets ridiculous, man.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me.
Yeah. So
And I'm not ripping on them by any means, because all of the liquid nutrient companies do that.
This is why I like Canna. You don't need anything. You need some cow amalgation, you need A and B, and you need PK, and that's it. That's all I use, man. I don't use anything else nowadays, and that does the job just fucking fine. But Advanced Nutrients, you need the pH perfect Sensi Grow for when it's in veg, Sensi Bloom for when it's in flower. You need some big bud there when the buds are developing. You should use Overdrive in the last couple of weeks of the grow. There's something iguana. What's the root stem called? What was their root stem? Can't even remember. But yeah, lots of shit goes on in the mediums, man. In the nutrients, Twisty said he only uses the main parts, no supplements. Get some Big Bud and get some Overdrive because they are good. They're ridiculously overpriced, but they are good. They do what they're supposed to do. So and use them at the right times, and you do well, man. Good line of nutrients.
I use Bud Explosion with mine too, which is a powder, and that's just extra PK basically.
But there we go. I hope that answers everybody's questions, and thanks as always for sending them in. We appreciate it. But I think that is everything for the Grow Guide today. Is there anything to add? Have we missed anything? Anybody got anything to say?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
Live in soil.
Yeah, live in soil. Thanks for your input there,
You need to
Billy.
make that a shirt, buddy.
Yes, good show. Let's go to the outro. Let's do it. Clink, clink. So there we go, everybody. Yeah, that's all the news. And again, before we end the show, just one more time, man. Rest in peace to Sam the Skunkman. Massive loss to the cannabis community there. Rest in peace, man.
Yeah, let's all have a smoke for that.
Yes,
Smoke.
let's grab the fucking
Yep, fire it
smoking
up.
devices, everybody.
Hold on.
Smoke.
I got to let my
Smoke.
mighty warm up. That's not cool. Boo. Boo.
I have
I'll
to get back
smoke
to
for you
trying out
then.
this X2 again.
Yeah, everybody smoke. What do you say, John?
So I got to get back to trying out this X2 or XQ2, whatever the hell this thing is.
Oh, cool. From Ariza.
Yeah.
Nice.
So easy to just go to my solo.
And good show, man. Lots covered there. And don't forget to smoke. My tea is warming up, everybody. So make sure you're smoking that shit for Skunkman Sam out there. And yeah, thanks as always for joining us, everybody. Hit the like button if you want to. No pressure, of course. It doesn't really make a difference to us because YouTube hates us regardless. Know what I'm saying? Anything else going on this week? Yeah, that's everything about soil. But of course, when we have these grow guides, they're just a nice, simple guide to keep it simple and try and get as much information across as possible. But if we miss anything or you have any questions that you need any extra help with, you just head over to percysgrowroom.com, sign up there. or you can find us on Discord, which is linked in the description. So click on that down below if you want to join us on the Discord. Yeah, you can ask for help about anything. It's a real good community, loads of friendly folk. We kicked out all the assholes. There never really were any. It's always been a good community, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, don't be shy. You know, if you're not part of one of the communities yet, either the Discord or the Percy's, then sign up. It's all free and shit. But for now, I think that's it.
Questions.
Yeah, ask questions. Yeah, the only stupid question is the one you don't ask and all that shit, right?
Right.
That's right.
But I think that's everything for the show. Anything to add here? I know Margaret's tired and she wants to go to bed now.
I wouldn't mind. I was up late.
Yes, but good to have you back there, Margaret. Thanks for coming to join us, as always. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to be back.
Good. Anything else to add? I think we're done.
I think we're good.
Yeah. So you think you should put some music on
all
for
good.
everybody? Anything to add? Blah, blah, blah. Don't forget to check out the Conspiracy channel. You know, Billy's got that new project there, the Live from Airstrip 1. So if you're into conspiracy theories, then go and check that out. We're going to be doing numerous episodes. If you have suggestions for episodes, drop them in the comments over there as well. You know, we spoke about aliens yesterday, but we want to do moon landings, JFK. We want to do all the big conspiracy theories. So, you know, go over there and check it out. Yeah, Bigfoot, you know, cryptozoology, you know what I'm saying? Illuminati, 9/11, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be lots to cover. Yeah, one a month isn't gonna be enough. We're gonna need like one every 2 weeks. 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
That's right.
2 weeks.
It's been a pleasure, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one. Stay high, stay safe, and all of that. Yeah. Thanks as always. Goodbye, everybody.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank